All righty. Good morning. Good to be back in studio this here beautiful Saturday morning. You know, we got a week left in spring. Then we're gonna get hot next weekend. Yeah, summer's here. It's already here. Hi, looking at the weather ahead. Heck yeah, it's hot. Our next week forecast, if you don't know, goodness gracious. Next funny thing is, here we are a week before summer, and Sunday tomorrow 88, Monday 88, Tuesday 89, Wednesday yuck 91.
Hot.
Yuck. Summer's here, folks. Hot, humid, swimming weather. That's what it is. Got Mark Barbee in the house this morning. Good morning, Mark Barbee.
Good morning, Ray.
Mark Barbee's of Gator Pools. Mark's been in studio with me many times. Well, I guess it's many. A lot of times through the years. I really appreciate him coming in. A plethora of knowledge and information about many things. He does swimming pools, and we're going to talk to him and get his insight on a lot of stuff. And I'm going to start ground zero with Mark this morning. Before I do, I want to tell everybody I just got back from cross-country trip, drove it again, took the northern route this time through Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, Illinois, Kentucky, all the way across the country again. Drove it not this past week, but week before last. I got back Sunday evening, got back a few days early, and really glad I did because I had a lot of unpacking, a little moving and settling to do, and a lot of things. Brought my girlfriend back from Seattle to Charlotte. She moved back to Charlotte. She's here now, and see what the future holds. So, it was a good time. I enjoyed it. It was very busy, very fast. I'll say real quick, Mount Rushmore was absolutely beautiful. Hit it on a beautiful day. If you ever go to Mount Rushmore, you must go down Iron Mountain Road. It is really awesome. It's a very curvy road down through the mountains of the Badlands. Went to Deadwood, city of Deadwood, very nostalgic place, Western based, but it was dead too. There wasn't nobody there. But it's to you motorcyclers out there, it's not far from Sturgis, and the week of Sturgis that place is like Deadwood. It's not far from Sturgis at all. A little drive, but that place is wall to wall. I could imagine seeing motorcycles, and I went to the information station there to pick up a map because we wanted to know the area. And, and she said, yep, the week of Sturgis, she said, there ain't a place you can park without a motorcycle to be seen. She said, this place is wall to wall. Motorcycles. I said, I can imagine looking at the place. Quaint little town, nice place to visit. It's funny thing is whenever we go and we stop, we see some local.
Really?
And they start talking. They say, well, you got to go here and you got to see this. And they always kind of give you directions, your little tourist guides right there in the city. Mm-hmm. And they're very nice people. Same thing happened to us. We got out to, just look at the town. Of course, nobody was there. I mean, seriously, relatively speaking, I was hoping to find a new hat. Buy me a hat. And I asked the lady, I said, you got to have a hat store in Deadwood. She looked at me real whimsical and she said, nobody's ever asked me that before. I said, well, I just did. She said, well, let's find out. She said, sorry to say, we don't have a hat store in Deadwood. I said, well, darn, that's amazing. Here we are in the Badlands, a Western theme, and don't have a hat store. I said, oh, well, guess we won't buy a hat. So I did not buy a hat on this trip.
Missed out on a tradition, huh?
Well, that's right. Well, I wouldn't. Well, it is a tradition when you drive across.
I'm kind of shocked though they didn't have a hat store. That's a missed opportunity.
I was too. But how many motorcyclers buy hats? Cowboy hats, right on the motorcycles. More luggage to carry. Don't need more luggage. But they like their hats. But anyway, it's a great trip. Good to be back home. Made it safely. It wasn't without events, but hey, I can't tell you the whole story because it's too much to tell. And that's all I can say about that. It was a great trip. Just great to be home. Good to be safe. And have Mary back in Charlotte. A lot of fun ahead, and we'll see what the future brings. Mark Barbee's in the house. Gator pools. Let's talk about swimming pools. We're going to talk in depth about swimming pools because swimming pools represent a project. And when you do a swimming pool, when you plan or create, construct, install a swimming pool, there's a lot involved. And we're going to talk about how involved it is and has it become even harder? We're going to talk about it. And you need to know about these things because in Charlotte, NC, nothing's easy.
That's a fact.
Nothing's easy. And we're talking to Gator Pools. Mark, first of all, where are you from?
I'm from Midland, North Carolina.
Which is right down Albemarle Road.
That's correct. Used to be known as Hell's Half Acre.
Yep. Why is that? Just
no
a beautiful
idea.
country.
It's
That's
nice
why.
out there. It is. A lot of farmland.
It's a lot of farmland. Speaking of farmland, coming through Montana and Wyoming. Oh, my gosh. There's a lot of nothing. A lot of nothing. I'm talking a lot of nothing. Hills with no trees. I mean, Montana's full of mountainous hills with no trees, a lot of green grass, a lot of open country, a lot of pasture land. And I'm talking farming. Farming, oh my goodness. I've never seen so many tractors and equipment fields in all my life. So, man, but you know, just farming. Man, Montana, they call it big sky. I know why. Because it's open.
Yeah.
And open. And it's just vast. Unbelievable. But anyway, getting back to where you're from, Midland. So you're a country boy.
Yes, sir. Born and raised. Never known anything else. Well, I lived in the outskirts of the city. So whenever I was coming up.
Now Midland's the outskirts of the city.
Well, I mean, at that time, like Hickory Grove, Will Grove area.
Newell, Hickory Grove, little country communities.
Out in there.
All around the Charlotte area. Matter of fact, if you ask most people today, where's Newell? They look at you and say, I never heard of it.
Never heard of Newell. Yeah,
what's Newell?
Yeah.
Newell's out near the university, down Old Concord Road.
Yep.
Right beyond, right before you get to the congestion of the university. And that community out there was called Newell Hickory Grove. Some people don't know what Hickory Grove is.
Yep.
But never incorporated.
Will Grove.
Yeah, Will Grove, Hickory Grove, all those small communities. But okay, so how old are you?
I am 46. 64. What am I saying? I wish I was 46. 64? I was going backwards. Yeah, I'm 64.
64.
Yeah. 64.
And you was born and raised in this area.
Born and raised in Midland.
So you've been doing when'd you put first handle a shovel?
Oh gosh. My dad's a brick mason, and I was making mud, mortar mix, probably when I was about 8-10 years old. Seriously.
Well, no, that's
I was
a lot of them do it younger than that.
I do know that at 12, I was mixing mud, in a mixer, motorized paddleboard mixer. We take a couple blocks and stand them up on the sand pile, 20 scoops of sand, one bag of
you'll never forget this recipe.
5 gallons of water. Yeah. I mean, you had to add a little water here and there if just getting warmer and stuff.
So you was brick mate. You was in the brick mason.
My dad was a brick mason. I grew up setting scaffolds, buck scaffolds, jack scaffolds, running forklifts and stuff. Me and some of the guys now, we talk about how they've got those laws. You could get on a hill, and you can articulate, the lift itself. So we just had the regular standard up and down, forklifts, and you could tilt it forward and backward. And that was about it. But now they've got those laws, a law lift. You can sit back and the mass runs out, up, and down. And then you got your tires, you got 4-wheel drive. You can articulate that thing so that way, if you're on a hillside, you can still put your
You can make it level.
You can put your material level. Exactly. Yeah. Before, if you was on a hillside, you can only get so much, and your brick or your pallet or whatever you're on would just have to be at the same angle as you are.
Exactly.
So there's been a lot of advancements, man. It really has. And
a lot of technology advancement and equipment.
Crazy. Some of the stuff, concrete pumps. I mean, just used to, we didn't have concrete.
Had wheelbarrow.
You had wheelbarrow. Now they got motor buggies. If you're on the ground, they've got motor buggies with tracks now. so they can actually climb hills. The regular motor buggies that they came out with had 4 wheels in the front and had a little steering wheel in the back. It was like a scooter.
Yeah.
And your bucket was in the front. If you wanted to run one of those things, go ahead and get ready. You're going to get covered in concrete. It's going to splatter everywhere.
Yeah, and what's funny, I know you've seen this, runaway wheelbarrows.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny. And I know you and I both have seen it. And the guy's got a wheelbarrow and it's a runaway and it's about to tip. He's fighting. He's turning red and purple fighting that thing. I said, let it go.
Just dump it.
Because you ain't going to recover, right?
You're right, yeah.
It's a non-recovery situation. Best thing to do is find somewhere to throw it and throw it. Wouldn't you agree?
Just dump it, yes, sir. Absolutely.
And these track wheelbarrows, they fall too.
They will.
They get top heavy. They turn over, and when you get on unstable ground and it starts to tip, it's over.
It is. Yep. Yeah. If you run on some soft subgrade and stuff, I mean, it'll set down on it in a minute.
And you only do it once or twice in your life, and you figure stuff out. You learn. Because a wheelbarrow will get the best of you with concrete in it.
It will. You're right. It certainly will.
And it's funny to watch somebody fight one.
Yeah, it is.
It's dreadful because you got to clean up that mess.
Oh man.
Okay. When did you switch over to pools? I mean, you got into construction.
Yep.
You got out of high school.
Yep.
Did you go to high school?
I did go to high school.
Well, I mean, not everybody went to high school.
I know.
It's okay. Yeah. But in my book,
I quit in kindergarten.
Works for me. Yeah.
I felt the education
system.
system.
You learn more working with your hands and your mind in critical thinking than you'll ever learn in school.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you say that because me and my liner rep actually had breakfast yesterday morning together, and we were talking about that very thing, about college and, education and everything. And I said, now that, some of the grandsons and stuff are graduating, I get to go to graduations, and I got friends that's got kids who are graduating.
How many grandkids you got now?
8.
Okay. Keep talking, granddaddy.
And they, it's funny because it's like everybody was talking when I was in school, it's like, where are you going to college? Where are you going to college? Where are you going to college? What you going to major and all that stuff. And they need to come to me, and I say, I'm going to work, And I mean, at that time, it's just like it was, you're going to work? Yeah, man, I'm going to go to work. That's what I do, And now they say, when they look back on some of the stuff, most of the people who chose to go on to work and, go into a field of some kind. A trade.
Working with your mind, your hands.
Have made more money than college because you have to pay. But now there's certain areas, I'm not knocking school by any means.
I am.
Okay. I mean,
because we've turned the corner. I'm tired of people saying, well, I can't knock school. And why can't we knock school? Because it's not working. And I've thought about I've been on a 3-week hiatus. I unplugged. I don't know what's going on in this country or the world right now. And I know it's pretty glim. I was told yesterday. But, it's glim when I look at these kids and all the work and creativity and imagination and fun behind working with your hands and your mind. But we've been taught, brainwashed, scammed, and herded into education. I love education, but let's define what that is, what that really encompasses. I don't have anything to against a college degree. If you get out of college and you can take that degree and go out and one, be happy, one, make a good living and provide for your family. But that's what life is all about.
Very
right?
True. Exactly. Yeah.
It's not, and degrees have become status quo, but yet you can't take your degree and go out and make a living, and you're in debt up to your eyeballs. I'd rather get a credit card and get in debt with a credit card and go out and have fun with it than get an education I can't use for the advancement of my life, my family's life and career.
True. Exactly.
I mean, is that a reality?
It is.
But I can't talk about it? Why? Because it's not the narrative everybody wants to hear.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody can do it. It takes, you gotta like step outside the box. You gotta not be afraid to say, you know what, I'm gonna go out on my own. I mean, I'm gonna buy a piece of equipment.
It's changing. It's changing.
Yeah.
It is changing.
It is.
Kids are waking up to the fact, and we just need to make them more aware
Mm-hmm.
of the options. I'm not saying don't go to college, but apply the college to your life.
Yeah.
And the big word called happy.
Oh yeah. We got to be content in what you do. I mean, I love the fact I can go anywhere around Charlotte, outside there, whatever, and I can say, like I worked for a curb and gutter crew when I was in my early 20s, and
we're going to talk more about that, but I got curb and gutters.
Gotcha.
I want to know how you got there. Then we're going to find out what you've done since you got there.
Okay. Be great.
Around swimming pools. But remember, swimming pools is just another project, just like a kitchen, just like a bathroom, just like an addition to your home. Same thing. We're going to take a break. You're listening to About Your House. Good to be home. Fox Sports Charlotte. Download the free app. Stream us live. Stream us live on your browser, foxsportsradiocharlotte.com. We'd love to hear from you if you want to talk. Join in the conversation. 704-227-8986 is the phone number. Good to be back. Come on back. We'll talk more about your house. Mark Barbee, Gator Pools, in the studio.
Out more about the show? Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Mike Libretto here, inviting you to come in and experience Charlotte's best New York pizza and great Italian food at Libretto's Pizzeria. Serving Charlotte proudly since 2008, Libretto's pizzas are sure to please by the slice or grab a whole pie. Pastas, entrees, great appetizers, sandwiches, and wings. A menu to please the whole family. Dine in or takeout, available 7 days a week. Visit us online at librettospizzeria.com or call us at 704-714-1442. That's Libretto's Pizzeria. Stop in and become part of the family.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595. Or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Carolina Foundation Solutions is a family-owned and operated company and a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina, providing foundation solutions from the mountains to the sandy shores of the coast. At Carolina Foundation Solutions, our objective is to help educate, offer guidance, and provide assistance. With over 200 years of combined experience, our family of experts are ready to help protect and repair your largest investments. If you have a problem, we have a solution. Call 877-883-4626 or online, carolinafoundationsolutions.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Got Mark Barbee in the house, Gator Pools, talking construction and swimming pools, but much more than that. As you a homeowner, you may want to be planning a pool, a backyard kitchen, a renovation, making that backyard into a beautiful paradise, and that's a good thing, beautiful thing. But you need to know what's involved. I mean, I do believe you do.
Absolutely.
All right. You was 18. You was in the brick laying business. You was helping.
Right.
Did you ever lay many brick?
A lot. Brick
so
and
you
block.
did brick mason work.
Right.
You
right.
was
Yeah,
a bricklayer.
I can lay brick. Yes, sir.
That's your early career pathway. Was brick masonry.
Yeah. And then I like doing concrete work too. So I kind of spawned off into some concrete work. Worked for a couple companies. Learned a lot of a lot of stuff around it.
Well, but you got into brick mason, and there was other trades around you constantly.
When we do houses and stuff, I mean, we'd be there. I'd help an electrician pull some wire or something through some conduit or whatever, and I got to see how all of it went together. Back in the day, you didn't have conduit like that. You took and you had your staples and you slap them, hold your wire up the 2x4s and stuff to your light switches and things like that. So I've been involved in all that, some carpentry stuff,
And that's what we tell kids with put tools in schools, and because they have no concept of the trades at all. But once you start and you get them, now you start in brick masonry.
Yep.
Here you are, many years later, as we will discuss. Your swim pools.
That's right.
And you specialize.
I specialize
That's
now
your
in
niche.
swimming pools.
That's your niche, swim pools. But But here's how we got there. It was a journey.
Yep.
It was an adventure. You started laying brick. Well, actually, you started being a mortar forker.
You're what they call a laborer. You're a laborer, and a good laborer can sustain 4 masons, 3 to 4 masons, depending on how good the masons are and what you're doing.
Sure.
So anyway, so you start out doing stuff like that, and of course you're around equipment, and I liked running equipment and everything. I'm sorry. I like running equipment, so I kind of got involved in some of that as well, and so did that for a little bit, and I got opportunity to work with a curb and gutter company, and I ran a curb and gutter crew for a company at here in Charlotte for a while, and I enjoyed that a lot. That running the curb machine and stuff was a pretty unique experience. There's a lot of bells and whistles and gadgets and vibrators, all kinds of things to run.
Well, you got to know water.
Yeah.
See, with curb and gutter is all about water flow.
Yep.
That's what it's built for.
Drainage.
It's to control water drainage.
Yep.
And the grades on it. You learn about grades. You learn about setting forms and the grade, the excavation. You can't go high. You can't go low. You just don't go out there with a skid steer, a excavator, whatever, and start digging dirt and just planting it wherever.
Yeah.
It's got to be a certain grade.
Yeah. And see,
you learn all that.
All that stuff. Your grades, run equipment, concrete finishing, everything just kind of fades into all the phases of what we do now with swimming pools. And that's what really makes a difference whenever somebody's going to get a pool done or something, is knowing, what elevation to set your pool heights at and stuff. I go to stuff all the time, and I see where the pool is stuck way up high at the ground, or I see it where, even worse, it's too low in the ground.
Here we go again. It starts with a plan, and all right, now today, 2025 versus 1990.
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Extremely.
Used to, you could go out there and it wasn't so complex. But in today's world, and we talk about the number one thing you deal with is what? Water, right? Water. Like you said, the pool. And it should be planned. Now, to get a pool in the ground, if you want to put, if Mr. Smith down the road wants a pool, how long would it take Mr. Smith to start the process and get him a pool with the planning, the permitting, everything? Like he called you today, because people need to know this. It's hot. It's summertime. You cannot get a swimming pool next week.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. You can't get one probably in a month or two. And that's what I want you to hear today.
Yep. Well, see now, okay, to start with, you're exactly right. You got to have a plan. So, most of the time you meet with the homeowners, get some ideas of what they're wanting, get them a quote worked up, get it back to them, adjust the quote as they want. Sometimes they want a larger pool, sometimes they want a smaller pool, sometimes they want concrete decking, travertine decking. There's just a ton of stuff that you got to figure out what you want to do. Once you get that down and you get an approval on it with them, you usually sign up and draw up a contract. And I will say this to people: don't stick all your money in the first payment of stuff. I think 10% down once you sign a contract is adequate. I think 40% once the hole's dug, if it's for a swimming pool.
Now let's back up. Let's talk about this because everybody wants to know about money. And Mark's telling you what's fair, because this man here is a country boy. He believes in handshake, and your word is your bond.
True.
Okay. Now, granted, he writes contracts. It ain't all about verbal. It's got to be on paper too, because in this world we live in today, there's a lot of shysters and, frankly, a lot of homeowners and companies. It works both ways.
That's correct.
They want to get the best of you, and they want the best of you. Okay, both ways. Well, the bottom line is we want to give you what you pay for if you're a professional, and you're going out there to serve, deliver a product with professionalism and quality and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
All these things come in. Okay, once you get all that, what should you be paying in a payment schedule? A lot of people are very apprehensive when it comes to payment schedules, which I don't blame you, because you should not pay more than is due. But there is a down payment, a deposit required on any service, professional service and product you get in your house.
Especially if it's something that's going to be unique to what you got. Like I just use, I'll go back to my stuff too, but like liner replacements. I mean, if we order a liner and it's custom made for your pool and it's in the pattern that you choose and everything, what can I do with that if you decide you don't want it?
Exactly.
I mean, so that's why most people
and that's why it's so darn important that the plan be made thoroughly and decisions made up front that you're going to stick with. And now that's a commitment on both parties.
It is. And
so you get a pool designed.
You get a pool design and everything, and you get your contract signed. Usually get 10% down, 40% on whole dig or day of delivery of a.
So now you're at 50%.
That's right.
After the hole's dug in your backyard, you buy in 50% of that pool.
Right. We usually do like a 20% once the equipment is on the job site and hooked up, because once the equipment's hooked, I'm talking like if it's pumps, filters, salt generators, heaters, any of that stuff, because once it's on the job site and it's hooked up, the homeowner owns it. Some people say, well, if they don't pay for it, just cut it and take it off. Back in the 80s, you could do that. You can't do that nowadays, because that's called, that's larceny. You're stealing it back if you do that. So then you get a 20% down 20% once that's delivered and hooked up, and then 20% once your decking is down and completed, and then the last is a 10% of the contract. And I always tell people when I'm talking with them, I say, the only time I get something that you don't get something is when you give me that 10% down. But you actually do get something. You're getting my contract, and the fact that I've spent that much time with you, and then going back.
And
to what
by the way,
saying,
all this takes time.
Oh yeah.
And even planning the pool, you can't do that in a one sit down.
No,
it take 2, 3, 4 sit downs to really get a. And here's another factor I want to bring in. Normally a pool, well, I say probably you can help me here. 50% or less of the time, it's not just about a swimming pool. There's other amenities involved in the project.
There is.
Especially this day and time with outdoor kitchens, outdoor living areas, and all these areas need to be planned into the progressive nature of the whole project.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And one of those is electrical.
Big time.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta know ahead of time, what's going on, where your electrical. It's always good to get an electrician out there and have him to look the job over and see, one, if there's enough room in the panel, to put another breaker in, pull a sub panels. I mean, and see, all that stuff has to be done.
And you got to permit it all.
Yeah, that was what I was fixing to get to. I'm glad you said that, because that was my next thing.
Well, that was the big part of the upfront planning thing. You're not only going to work with Mark Barbee, an electrician, maybe a plumber, maybe. You know,
bathrooms and showers.
Maybe another general contractor on an addition, outdoor living area. All these things have to be permitted and run through the system.
Yep,
the bureaucracy of called the Building Standards Department. And there's you another. Well, I don't know. I don't work with them, but you do.
Yep. Give me a kick off from the start. You talking about being a country boy and being from way back when. Yeah. Used to be, honest to gosh, I could go to Mecklenburg County in the 80s. I could go the day before I'm going to dig a pool. Day before. With all my information, give it to them. They write it all up. They give me a piece of cardboard, a placard. You know, you put your permit number on it. You put your address, everything on it, and you sign all that stuff up. And, you know, you go out there, stick it in the yard, stick it on the side of the house. I mean, I've took them and slid them in between where the gutter comes down just to hold them up.
Oh, I remember them very well.
Yeah, them blue and white ones.
Worked with a lot of them over the year.
And that's all you had to do.
Back in the day, they were black and white.
Inspections weren't as rigid and restrictive as they are now. But to get you started, though, here, now most of the little outlying communities and areas, and even big communities, they're townships now. And you have to get approval through the township first before anything starts. And in some cases, like one I just did here in Monroe, we had to have the silk fencing.
Union County.
Union County. We had to have, which the area is because it was in the city limits of Monroe. If it's outside city limits, it's a little bit different too. You know, there's no standard norm for everybody.
And that's every city: Belmont, Mount Holly, Gastonia, you know, Lincolnton, all of them, Huntersville.
We had to have silk fencing and safety fencing up because it was adjacent. Safety fencing was because it was adjacent to a water area. It backs up to Lake Twitty.
And you don't know all these these things until you apply for the permit. Am I right or wrong?
Exactly.
And those things cost more money.
And they take more time, you know. So I couldn't put a tooth in the ground until I got approval, you know, for them with the safety fence and stuff. I get that passed first, you know, and of course it has to go through environmental as well.
How long would that take?
I mean, just we had to put the fence up and we had to call in for approval. So just a couple of days on that.
Yeah, but you have to get it all working and the leg work on it.
That's right.
See, leg work is time.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And then you got to call and chase.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And you got to really be, you know, you got to do it to their standards. They've got a you know, like what can I say? A little thing that you print out. They print out for us, and you know, there's standards that you have to meet when installing safety. I'm not saying silk fencing. I'm sorry. You know, safety fencing has to be, you know, that blaze orange and everything. And it's got to be so many feet around it and everything past where your borders are and all that stuff.
They got to come out and inspect it
before they'll let us do anything. Then once they get that approval, then they have to approve the permit. So they don't approve the permit until after they say, okay, well, now you've got step one taken. Now we'll step two. And so you put in everything. And if you're doing, just like you're talking about with stages and stuff, I mean, you know, we've got us for the building permit. We've got our electrician, you know, for his has to go on that one. If we got gas piping or anything, that has to go on there as well. That's the mechanical.
Got gas.
Yep. And if you have, like I say, you have anything to do with plumbing, you know,
and everybody's got to be on that permit. The company's going to do it.
That's right.
They got to have their license number on that permit.
Mm-hmm. And then once you do,
everybody's got to have their insurance, and everybody's got to be certified and all that.
Yep. And then you got your, you come into you know, where you do your first step, like the one that we just did was a fiberglass. So, you know, we dig the hole, set the grades and everything up for it. We have a crane come in. We got to schedule the crane, the pool delivery. You know, I had to get my stone in because use a base, and you know, so there's a lot of steps that go through that just to get
and
to
the
that
whole
point.
time you do it, you've got to get inspections along each phase.
When we do
am I right?
Yeah, when we do a first one with the fiberglass is we have to do what's called a ditch inspection and a bond inspection. Ditch inspection is the depth of our conduit for our low voltage lighting that we run. You have to run number 8 bare copper, has to run from the pool back to where the equipment pad is going to go.
That's
have equipment on it. That's for your bonding. You also with pools now we have to have what's called a water bond. Typical, we use a water bond that goes in the bottom of a skimmer, and it stays in there. It's a removable water bond that we can change out if that one goes. In other words, if the pH is low and water is acidic and it eats it slam up, then we can change that out. We have to take the water just below the skimmer. But anyway, there's a method to how you have to put those things in to do that. So,
and everything you do, and I've seen this so much in various concepts of building. When it's initially put in, most people, and I hate saying this, and you can help me because you've got experience, don't think of tomorrow. They do it today like it's not going to be ever repaired.
That's true. That's true.
And that will kick your butt down the road. For example, here recently, we've had several vent hood remote blowers on roofs that go bad. Well, these remote blowers, whoever put them in initially was not thinking about replacing it because they put it under 2 layers of flashing against a brick wall, and then the shingles, and put it near a valley where the valley's got to be partially removed as well. The labor and roof cost on that replacement is like probably 3 times what replacing the motor itself is going to be, with no forethought of ever replacing that motor.
I'm sure.
And this is happening over and over again. Now, I've got an answer to some of it, but the point is they make it more difficult. Yeah. Now, and I know it's about money and place and all this, but Lord of mercy, we've got to use more forethought in some of this installation up front.
You're right. Yeah. I see people put in pool equipment and stuff, and they'll back it up to a brick wall, leave you no choice, even to change out a motor, something simple. Like you say, instead of putting union connections on it and leaving enough room to slide it.
Right.
It'll be backed up to it. You can't even if you had, you'd have to have unions on it. But if you didn't have unions on it, you couldn't get that thing out. You got to cut your pipe, and they'll run a, like say a 3-way valve up and just give you inches. Now, in all honesty, they teach us you're supposed to have at least 10 to 12 inches of draw on that pump, so you can be able to pump, pick up a prime and pull it through. If it's like a real short distance, it's like trying to drink a drink or something out of a little bitty short straw.
Right.
You just, if you got a long straw, you got a draw, you can pull it up,
Right.
But you got the little shortness there. The pump has a hard time picking up a prime because there's not enough water there to pick up a flow.
Got it.
Get it going.
And
then it's with the pump itself, it has an impeller on it, and it has a seal plate and a housing. And so you got to have distance enough. If you're going to break it down, if you say, okay, I'm going to break it down, then you could be able to pull it back enough to turn it and pull it out to replace those parts.
Exactly.
Put all that together. But like you said, if you back it up against something, and and heaters are another thing. They'll put the heater door, right on the other side of like some lattice work or a post or something. And it's hard to get to.
And experience is the only methodology of learning this stuff. Going out and, service work, you learn so much. And I'm learning so much from the service. The service technicians of today are not what they once were because we're not teaching it anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true, yeah.
You see it every day. Yeah. You and I are going away.
That's a fact. I know. I tell people that all the time. I say, man, we're like dinosaurs. We're gonna become extinct. And then
We already are.
I've got a great crew, and my guys are smart, but my guys are getting older too. Who are you, the homeowner, going to rely on? Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about around Put Tools in Schools and people like yourself.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Who's going to replace us? I just drove across this country. And let me tell you, folks, the infrastructure we're living with is falling apart. I know I went through at least 15 to 20 construction zones in single lane traffic. And why? Because Interstate 90 and roads like that are literally falling apart. There are miles and miles and miles of work cones with no workers. No workers. Nothing's being done. Why? Because there's not enough people. We got a big problem. And I'm not too sure what the answer is other than we've got to wake our kids up to the fact and the opportunities that are out there for great, successful career pathways.
Yeah,
Now, that's work,
Yeah.
but you know what? God made us to work.
Yeah. Like I tell everybody, I say, man, there's so much satisfaction for me, Ray, to know that, I create stuff. I make stuff,
You make people happy.
I go back. Yes, I do. And I tell everybody that's one of the best parts about my job is whenever you come back in and people's like, man, this looks great. I mean, I'm just, and we take pools that are existing and we do things to them. I got one here recently. We just put a tan ledge in it, and the people were thrilled. I mean, they're like, because they're going to have grandkids. They want grandkids to be able to play on something other than a 3'4" deep pool. You can't put a kid in there, Now you put tan ledge on there, kid can sit there and play in the water just like everybody else does.
Right.
And the mom or the dad can stand there, right there with
There are
them.
ways. We're going to talk about it. Barbee in the house talking Gator pools. We're going to finish what all it takes to put a pool in and the complications and the stress involved. And we ain't talked about weather yet.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Especially this year.
Yeah. Weather, you got a lot of dynamics in building. And not only a pool, I don't care what it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's all the same. It's just done differently. If that makes any sense. You're listening to About Your House. I'm Ray Terry, your host. Every week, 8 to 11 a.m. right here on Fox Sports Charlotte. Download the free app. And a lot of good guests coming in. I can't tell you who they all are yet, but I will. Stay tuned. More About Your House coming your way.
About the show, go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hi, Roddy Player here with Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances. Do you ever wonder how a local, family-owned business can compete with the big box national chain stores? It's simple. As part of North America's largest buying group, we have over $15 billion in buying power. We buy products at great prices from more manufacturers than any chain store, period, and we pass those savings on to you. So buy local and save more at Queen City, where you'll always find the right product, right price, and real answers guaranteed.
What's up, everybody? This is Jenna with Crown Town Cannabis, Charlotte's first dispensary. Now, we didn't want to stop at being Charlotte's first dispensary. We want to be Charlotte's first place to do cannabis-centered events. Check us out at cltcbd.com to see all of the awesome events that we have coming up. One of our favorites is a fully infused dinner happening at different local Charlotte restaurants. And coming this August, we will be putting on Charlotte's first CLT-centered festival. Check us out, cltcbd.com.
The professionals at Kilo Exterminating Company have over 70 years of experience in pest control. Throughout the years, they always pride themselves on maintaining the highest standard of quality and customer service, with every technician being state certified. And moisture readings are standard with every inspection. Their top priority is ensuring your home is free from pests such as ants, mosquitoes, termites, and any other pests wreaking havoc on your home. That's Kilo Exterminating at 704-333-9855 or online, kilo.biz. That's 704-333-9855.
Hi, I'm Sam Attero of AteroMedia.com, and I love empowering my clients and partners to make the most out of today's latest digital media tools. We specialize in building production systems and podcast studios for small to mid-sized churches and local businesses here in Charlotte. Do you need new media production gear? Do you need help learning how to use it? You're in great hands with our family business, Attero Media of Charlotte. That's ETTARO Media.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Uncle Red called back and talked to me. It's okay, but we were in the break. Okay, Uncle Red called in. Got Mark Barbee and talking, pools, And we were talking. I get sidetracked all the time about this labor issue we got, shortfall of, people that know their craft, And you speaking of your crews.
Yep.
How have you been able to keep them so long?
I'd say treat them great, pay them good money, compliment them, respect them. That's probably
well. You
the
said a
main
lot
things,
right there.
Yeah, that
Pay 'em.
you got to do. Yeah, you got to pay them. You got to pay them. You got to show them, appreciate them. I kick them bonuses and stuff. We get stuff done. Yeah, it's just money, but they got,
They got families.
I got them on guaranteed salaries. Yeah. This was a tough winter, Ray. There's a lot of weeks that we didn't hit a lick of the snake, and they still got paid for 40 hours. You have to do that. It's just little things
You
like
take
that.
care of your employees.
That's exactly right. And, but, I hear the same things from all the guys out there. It's in construction that, people just, they don't want to work. And, I don't know why. I really don't. Now there's groups of people that do work and do want to work and enjoy working. I like it. I hate the fact that I'm getting older and, I can't work like I used to work, but I still work a lot of hours, but I'm just not as,
The reason kids don't want to work because they've never been taught to work.
That's probably the best.
And a lot of
reason
them
ever.
that once they find out what's involved, they enjoy it.
Mhm.
Because, and I say this, I don't mean to tie into, the spiritual.
A lot of it's instant gratification, though. Too. A lot of it's technology and social media. I think.
Oh yeah, well, I think a lot of
that.
the interruptions in diversion is all about technology. Yeah, but once you learn what you can achieve, it's fun.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of fun to work.
Mhm.
But there again, you enjoy doing what you do.
Yeah. Anything out there, like you say, there's a sense of accomplishment. Like you go to somebody's house and the HVAC unit's bad. They're either hot or they're cold or whatever.
Right.
You fix it. You make them happy. You just solved the problem. Mechanics. Same
Yesterday, I went in a house. I put a downdraft in. Well, that brand new downdraft had a cracked piece of glass on it. Well, they had to call warranty, and warranty come fix it.
Mhm.
Well, when they come fix it, they maladjust things. And I walked in yesterday. Lady, she says, Ray, it just doesn't look like you left it. I says, well, what do you see? What's wrong? I see something here that needs a little tweaking.
Mhm.
So it took me about 5 or 10 minutes. But why didn't the technician that came to repair it do it? It goes right back to what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Pride, and getting it right the first time.
Yeah.
Instead, she was written off as a picky woman. She is a picky woman. She is obsessive compulsive. But that's part of what we do.
Yeah, it is.
Because if you don't join in with it, you're going to be part of the problem. Right?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
And that gets into communication skills, which I talk about all the time. What's the hardest thing and most important thing we do every day? Communicate. But anyway, 5 minutes. I said, give me about 5-10 minutes here. Let me see what I can do. I go get my little bitty wrench and I make a few little adjustments. And she comes with, oh, Ray, that looks so much better.
Mhm.
Now, what did that take? And we got a happy camper.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And all it takes is pride. We got to teach pride. They don't teach that in school.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's like you say, that goes to the point of learning how to do something, being successful at it, caring about what you do, and just doing the best you can.
Be the best version of you can be.
If you can't accept it, you shouldn't expect anybody else to accept it.
Agreed.
That's how you need to make your
But then
mind work.
again, if you don't have the values to accept it,
Yeah.
and if you're going there for the money, you're there for the wrong reason.
If you go in there with the mentality of it looks good for my house, that's not going to work for
Right.
you.
Right.
Not on a long-term basis.
Okay, let's go back to the project.
Okay. Building a swimming pool.
Building a swimming pool. You're not building. You don't have one person to deal with.
Mhm.
And that's a major factor in this conversation today. If you're building a room addition, a swimming pool, an outdoor living area, matter of fact, outdoor living areas are more complicated, especially when you've got water involved, than any other project for safety reasons. We talk about bonding. Tell them what bonding is.
Bonding is basically grounding. It's grounding so it takes any current or electricity. The water bond takes it from whatever's in the water. In the E-potential, we end up coming back and doing before you pour a deck or before you put your travertine down or whatever your decking surface is going to be it pavers or whatever. You have to do what's called an E-potential bonding grid. That's a number 8 bare copper wire. It's put out around the perimeter of the pool anywhere between 18 and 24 inches. It's got to be 4 to 6 inches below subgrade. And that's just the code. And it has to be tied in 4 kind of semi-neutral locations. Like if you had a rectangle, then it'd be one in the center, one on each side, and one at the end. So you have to have that, and that always tied in. Of course, if you've got ladders, handrails, sliding boards, diving boards, anything that's got a metal in it, amenity to it, you have to have it bonded, and that all has to be inspected before you can put your decking down of any kind, or anything like in the subgrades or whatever, got to be prepped. So,
and that bonding wasn't required 20 years ago.
No, sir, it was not. It was not. They started doing the E-potential several years back, and also if it's a vinyl liner pool where your aluminum coping, which is the coping tracking that your liner tucks into, that has to have jumpers and lugs between each break or cut in that coping. So, and then that has to be tied. Then, of course, your independent four connections had to be pulled back to it. But no, they didn't used to have to do that. And even now, a lot of it, I think, we're hearing thoughts on it, is that it comes more from saltwater systems now. Not that saltwater systems are dangerous by any means. It's just that
there are different chemicals and
electricity carries
differently in different water.
Carries different in salt generated systems. Yes, sir. But there's ways. We've even got now. If somebody said, "Hey, I want to bond my more water," we've got water bonds that we can cut into the existing plumbing and tie that in. So that'll help take some current out of the water if there is any. I think personally, a lot of it is where in all these subdivision stuff, the houses are so close. If you know how your wiring goes in for your home, they plow those lines in from the transformers.
Sure, underground.
Mm-hmm. And so, everybody knows anything knows about wiring. It don't take a whole lot sometimes to skin a little naked place on the line, and that can leach power into the ground,
especially when it rains.
And when the ground's wet, or it's a high clay content, a lot of moisture in the soil, it's easy for that current to travel through it and pick it up, and that's what happens. Now, it's not a dangerous quote current, but especially little kids are more sensitive to it, and with their feet in the water and a little wet hiney sitting on the deck, if there's current going through it, they feel it. And even I've had some, we can actually stick your fingers in the water, and around your cuticles, you'll feel it first. It's like a little acidy kind of tingle,
Right. I felt it.
Yep. So they've got to where now that's part of the inspections that we have to do and everything. And it's just one of the things that they've added to us, over the years. And they're saying now, I'm hearing, just talk, scuttlebutt, whatever, that they're going to be changing some of that in the fall. They're going to make us put like a wire type grid, like we used to use regular, wire mesh for concrete.
Yeah, 10-10 wire mesh.
Yep. And wire mesh is okay. Don't get me wrong. I've poured concrete all my life. And all wire mesh does, people say, well, it keeps the concrete from cracking.
No, it don't. That's not the purpose of wire mesh.
That's exactly
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, man. It just holds it together when it does crack.
It helps cure it.
I mean,
and it hold it together.
It holds it together.
That's all it does. It doesn't really. If it was structural, you wouldn't have cracks like you have.
Well, see, then they started running fiber in it. We run fiber
in the concrete. Fiberglass.
You've got a heavy fiber, and you've got a light mesh fiber. Light mesh fiber is just like it's kind of like a dog hair.
Right.
Like a short-haired
horse hair.
Yeah.
There's hair.
Yeah, the bigger stuff is thicker. If you're going to use that, you want to use that on a trial finish floor.
Right.
So,
Gotcha.
but the little stuff does help bond. It does help bond the concrete together.
Sure.
It does. But the wire mesh now, just FYI, if you've got wire mesh in your concrete, you can't recycle it because it jams up the recyclers. Because when it breaks it up, that wire's still there and it falls down into the pit. We recycle a lot of concrete. We can because they use it. It's like a crush and run, and
Yeah, and it's stone.
it's a little less expensive, but man, it does a great job.
Sure.
We like using it. It's not, just for fillers and stuff now.
Oh, I understand.
It just makes it a little bit easier.
Gotcha. All right, Mark Barbee talking swimming pools today, but actually much, much more. Come back here. And remember, before you start anything, 811, underground locating service.
Definitely.
We'll talk about that too, because that's a biggie. Have you ever hit anything underground? Well, I'll ask you that when we come back, and you can tell me the story because that'll mess your day up a heartbeat. All right, more to come right here on About Your House. Tune in on Fox Sports Charlotte. Download the free app. Stream us live. You can text me, 704-712-4644. Love to hear from you. Ray Terry over and out. We'll talk to you when we come back. Second hour coming up.
You awake yet? Grab another cup of coffee and join us for hour 2. Mark Barbee of Gator Pools continues talking all things pools with Ray, and he'll be talking about what you need to know about your pool and whatever you're interested in. So he'll be talking about that. About Your House is brought to you in part by PutToolsInSchools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. About Your House is also brought to you in part by Queen City Home Store. Queen City Home Store is a family-owned store serving the Carolinas for over 70 years. They're the largest independent appliance retailer in the Carolinas, constantly growing and taking pride in the experience they offer customers with a knowledgeable sales staff, product selection, and lowest price guarantee. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
Being nice.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 2. Got Mark Barbee in the house. You know, before the break there, I mentioned 811. You know, we talk about a lot of things here before you ever start digging that safety fencing, that silt fencing.
Oh, even silt fencing.
All of that. Everything starts with a phone call to 811, underground locating service. Because don't you do that, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. If you put a shovel in the ground, I mean, if you're going to dig a flower bed, let's just say your wife says, "Hey, let's put this little garden in out here." You go dig a flower bed, or with a Mary Tiller, you can dig.
I've told people on this show thousands of times, not thousands, but a few hundred. You know, I don't care what you do in your backyard. If you own a home in Charlotte, you need to know what's underground. I don't care who you are, where you're at, whatever. Now, some homes, all these new, what I call home gardens, where they go out and strip all the trees and go in there and plant houses and they grow just in a field overnight. You come back 2 months later and there's a whole subdivision there. Well, those houses, when you purchase one, you ought to call 811 the first week you're there and go ahead and have them come out and mark all your lines, your gas lines, your water lines, your power lines, all in your fiber optic line. All of those lines coming in your house typically on new subdivisions are underground. And it would be very helpful for you in your life ahead, looking ahead, planning your backyard, your new backyard, maybe a swimming pool, maybe a garage, all of that, maybe fencing, maybe a pergola. Whatever. There's a lot of maybes, right? I don't like maybes, but if you're going to be prepared for the maybes, you need to call 811. They're going to come out and spray paint little dots all over your yard in various colors with various color codes, and they're easy to recognize. And you need to go out there after they do that and take a picture. Not one picture. You need to take several pictures and keep up with those pictures, because that will tell you in the future where your lines are. Not that you don't need to call them when you do your project.
Right.
But at least you will have some idea of where your power lines and all the things are, and letting you know. So when you do go out and dig a hole, you know what to be cautious for.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to go to somebody's yard and say, I say, well, man, don't even worry about it. There's nothing back here. No, we're going to see if there's anything back here before we hit a tooth in the ground.
Tell me a story.
I got a good one.
I figured you did.
This was in the 80s. And me and Dave were working together, and we were subcontracting for a company in Charlotte at the time called Patio Pools. And that was when Montebello. People know.
Oh, yeah. I know Montebello well.
Yep. So that's when Montebello was really kicking. That was like a Ballantine.
Oh, yeah. Ballantine was definitely a high-end subdivision.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Montebello was just getting rolling good. And it was in the summer. It was in the July. I remember that, towards the end of July. And we were digging a pool. We were getting set up, I should say, to dig a pool. And it was on a Friday. And in the construction world, most of us, for the most part, don't start a project on a Friday, especially if it's in the afternoon hours.
And it's got something to do with plumbing or electrical.
Get you.
Not a thing to do on a Friday afternoon.
No, sir. So you get set up, if you want to set your stuff up and everything. So we did, and we got out there, and, we had the pool, laid out on the ground and everything. And so they said, well, let's just go ahead and get started digging. And I look at my watch. I'm like, man, it's like almost 2:00. Let's just wait. He said, well, we'll go ahead. We can get the Cheyenne dug. We won't have so much to do from the first of the week and everything. And I'm like, I don't argue with Dave. That's okay. Okay. So we get started digging, and we got about a quarter of shallow end dug, and he's running the backhoe, and I'm in there with the shovel, and the
You got a tractor hoe out there.
Yeah, it was a backhoe.
Yeah,
we didn't
backhoe.
Have, we didn't have
excavators
weren't there then. Yeah.
Excavators weren't around in those days. But backhoes were.
Backhoes were. And excavators are great, man. I love my excavator. I love my excavator and my skid loader. But anyway, so we're digging. He's digging. And I'm in there with the shovel, and I'm just pushing dirt along, staying in front of him, because he scratches it, and I just level it out from where the teeth is now. And all of a sudden, there's a boom, like a grenade goes off. dirt and dust fly all over me. I'm standing right in front of it. Smoke's coming out of the ground. Dad turns loose of we call them the wobble sticks on the backhoe that you control with then. And he just turns loose of them. And I look up there and ground's just smoking coming out of it. He takes one hand, he pulls the wobble stick back, and it pulls the backhoe with the teeth up out of the ground. It's missing 3 teeth. Just like somebody cut
Lord have
just
mercy.
like somebody cut them with a torch.
And they did.
And they did. Yeah, that
they did.
Uh-huh.
The welder got them.
Oh, man. So then we looking, don't touch nothing else that may still be hot or whatever. And the homeowner comes out, heard the racket, it boomed inside the house and everything. But she ain't got no power. Okay. So, but that's not the worst of it. Other people are coming out of other houses. They ain't got no power. Now it's probably about between 4 and 5 on a Friday afternoon. People's coming home from work, getting showers, cooking dinners, getting ready to go out, and they ain't got no power. We took out probably about a third of that subdivision because we hit a primary. Okay. Now, that
in
being
a backyard.
Said, in a backyard, yes, sir.
That is highly irregular.
Yeah.
But you did it.
Well, see, what had happened is locator service had come out and they located the line from their house over, but they didn't locate the primary to come through. And when we hit that, we'd like that. And I mean, I'm talking about there was so many white hard hats out there with Duke Power, and everybody's pointing fingers. And we're like, we got it. We didn't. Patio's the one who got located. So while we weren't the ones that got charged for it or anything, and Patio wasn't either because they did their job.
Yeah, they called.
Locator service was the one who didn't locate that line, And but at any rate, that didn't lessen the severity
of the damage done.
Of the damage done, or the people coming out of their houses, and we're the ones standing there with the equipment, So
we did it.
We did it, yeah. Even though it wasn't actually technically on us, but it's like if you're the man standing there with the shovel and the backhoe, you did it.
You did it.
Yeah, I don't care. You could say, "Hey, man, they didn't mark it."
At the time, nobody cared about anything.
That don't matter. Yeah.
And the nature of the human being, we got to find blame.
Point the finger, man.
Got to find blame. Well, you did it. Well, okay, I did it. Now what?
Yeah.
What we gonna do?
Yeah, they were there all day Saturday, so they were out of power, probably not 24 hours, but
about a day.
Close, yeah. And I couldn't get that dug fast enough and get that pool in the ground and get out of there because it was just that was one of them bad jobs that, I mean, we made the job good, but it left a bad taste in your mouth and a bad feeling for people around us, that we were doing work back there on and everything. So
that's probably the biggest one you ever had.
That's the worst thing I've ever had. Other than that, I mean, I've cut like, I cut a well line one time, run to the well, cut the pipe and cut the line that carried to it. Nobody knew it. The homeowner said, "Oh, ain't nothing there." And the well's over here. And, of course, the house is over there. I mean, we wouldn't have thought it would have come across, but it did. And we cut it, which, that's a mess, but we fixed it. That's not a big deal.
You ever use dowsing rods?
I have, yeah.
Do they work?
They do.
They work great.
They do. You're
and,
exactly right.
Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, a dowsing rod is nothing but 2 coat hangers being on a 90-degree angle and held out in front of you. And when you go over something,
they'll cross.
They'll cross. They'll cross right over where there's something underground or overhead. Like I went in the backyard showing somebody about dowsing rods one day. And I went in the backyard and it crossed. And they said, well, there ain't nothing underground here. I said, what's above us? And looked up. There's a power line feeding the house. I said, it'll pick it up there or down here. And it will.
It will. Northern Tool one time had one. It was like a handle, almost like a bicycle grip handle. And it was a telescopic one. And it was rounded around the edge of it.
Right, where it's pivot.
And you could hold that thing and it would do the same thing. You could walk across and do the same thing. But you're talking about power lines, I'll say this too. We got what, Tonio, my guy that works for me, he calls it the hot stick. And it's just a little thing, like an electrical tester, like you can cut it on and you can test an outlet to see just that you've got power to it. You can touch a piece of conduit and it'll beep, show you it's got power to it. You think electricity ain't there? You walk near overhead transmission lines, and that thing will start going off.
Yeah.
There's electricity in that air, right there above you.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of, you heard EMFs.
Electromagnetic pulse. No, there's EMF.
Field. Electromagnetic field.
Fields. Okay. F.
EMFs are real. They can be felt, and they can be detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
So beware. EMFs are a real thing. And now these phones we carry, all the technical devices, computer devices we use, handhelds, laptops, all those things, they emit electricity and an EMF. And they do. That's why they don't recommend you hold the phone up to your ears anymore, because you're putting that stuff too close to your brain. Now, you might think that's hearsay, but it's a reality. It truly is a reality. So, but let's go back to the fact of digging holes where you shouldn't supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
not only that, but you could hit a gas line. And a gas line can be very treacherous, because once you pop that, then you got big time safety measures going on. They will evacuate a community due to those things.
Mm-hmm.
Hitting an underground power cable won't create evacuation, but a gas line possibly can. So once again, before we move into break here, really important, underground locator service, do their job first. And I said, do their job.
Right. Yeah, thank you for that.
Because if they don't, you can't do yours very well. But regardless of whether you're digging a pool, putting a room addition on, digging a hole, planting a garden, putting raised beds, whatever, if you're going to penetrate the ground, you need to know what's there. Because, they're supposed to bury them deep, but they don't always. Especially irrigation lines. We didn't even talk about irrigation, did we?
No, we didn't talk about irrigation.
You hit a bunch of them before, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Most time you just cut off the grids and, know you're going to have to be capping or whatever.
Right.
They'll have to rerun it anyway, because if it's in a swimming pool area, you got to get past all that.
Sure.
You're not going to use irrigation.
You ain't going to water the concrete.
No.
No, shouldn't anyway. It don't grow. It don't need
to.
water. Matter of fact, you don't want water. We're going to talk more swimming pools and planning your project for the summer months ahead. And if you ain't done it, now you might as well give it up for next year, because it's too late.
Well, we can still get you in. No kidding. I mean, we can, and I put pools in, as late as August, and people swimming in them, in September.
Yeah, but you got to plan it. It's my point.
If you're going to do something, it's, you need to get on the books.
Get her done.
Because we're behind anyway as far as scheduling
All right,
goes.
we're going to talk about scheduling. All right, you're listening to About Your House on Fox Sports Charlotte. 570-277-8986 is the number. If you want to call, got a question about a pool. And there's a lot of questions. We just getting started. Come on back. We'll talk.
Find out more about the show? Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
This is Tyler White with Crown Town Cannabis. Are you tired of regular, old, boring, gummy cannabis edibles? Well, now, at all Crown Town locations, we are carrying the Whole Damn Bakery. The Whole Damn Bakery is our line of freshly baked, scratch-baked goods made right here in North Carolina and delivered weekly to our locations. We have everything from chocolate chip cookies, oatmeal cream pies, brownies, and other cereal bars that you can come in and check out weekly. Please just ask your bud tender to point you in the direction of the Whole Damn Bakery.
Mike Libretto here, owner of Libretto's Pizzeria and Spinello's Pizza. I opened my first pizzeria in New York City in 2004. Not long after that, I took my passion to Charlotte, North Carolina, serving up a taste of New York City with great pizzas and authentic Italian cuisine. Come in, relax, and enjoy Libretto's Pizzeria, located off Johnson Road in the Ballantyne area. Libretto's is also home of the famous Spinello's Pizza, a 10-inch infused frozen pizza, offered in both pepperoni and plain cheese. Visit Spinello'sPizza.com for more information to find a retailer near you, or just to order for pickup at the restaurant. Libretto's Pizzeria is open 7 days a week, a great place to relax, dine in, take out, delivery, or for catering. Visit us online at librettospizzeria.com. Call us at 704-714-1442 for the best in New York pizza and Italian cuisine. That's Libretto's Pizzeria. Stop in and become part of the family.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Hi, Roddy Player here with Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances. Do you ever wonder how a local, family-owned business can compete with the big box national chain stores? It's simple. As part of North America's largest buying group, we have over $15 billion in buying power. We buy products at great prices from more manufacturers than any chain store, period, and we pass those savings on to you. So buy local and save more at Queen City, where you'll always find the right product, right price, and real answers guaranteed.
The professionals at Kilo Exterminating Company have over 70 years of experience in pest control. Throughout the years, they always pride themselves on maintaining the highest standard of quality and customer service, with every technician being state certified. And moisture readings are standard with every inspection. Their top priority is ensuring your home is free from pests such as ants, mosquitoes, termites, and any other pests wreaking havoc on your home. That's Kilo Exterminating at 704-333-9855 or online, kilo.biz. That's 704-333-9855.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Talking swimming pools with Mark Barbee. You know, talking about the processes involved in anything building today when you're dealing with the bureaucracy and the municipalities, it takes more time and more planning and longer to do the job.
Absolutely.
Nowadays versus 10, 15 years ago, I'd venture to say it probably takes you an added week or two in inspections and systems to the job.
I'd say that's a fair assessment.
Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. I'd say that's a fair assessment.
But-
Yeah, it has become more of a, you got to jump through some more hoops, to make things be.
And then all these inspections too, they add cost to the job because you got to pay those people to come out and inspect. All this is a cash cow.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say it's all about money, but it is all about money. And it's safety, I know, and safety's involved in inspections, and that's necessary. I get that.
Yeah.
But here's another problem around put tools in schools, and they don't have the inspectors needed. They're short staffed.
That's true. Yeah. It's but you say that, I'll just say this real quick. Whenever this is kind of goes to like the time saving and energy costs and money saving. When COVID came on the scene, I was doing pools, obviously, and I had one that we were doing, and it happened to be in Union County, and I called in for an inspection, need ditch inspection, so I could cover my ditches. This is a fiberglass pool. If you don't cover your ditches, your pool's out of the ground about a quarter of the way, and with rain coming, it's a big old boat in the ground. You need to have it covered and full and everything. So I couldn't get inspection out there for about 2 or 3 days, and rain was coming. Luckily, we hadn't had any, but rain was coming. And I got a hold of one of the inspectors. He said, because there was only one. Everybody was out with COVID and stuff, and that was whenever it was a 14-day quarantine. So the one inspector, he tells me, he said, man, he said, we're just short-staffed and everything. I said, let me take a picture of it or something. He said, okay. He said, give me about a half a dozen pictures. This is with the tape measure in the ditch, just so they could see, here's the conduit, here's the tape, here's the ditch bank. And I got about half a dozen pictures around. He said, get the house in the background, obviously, so it wouldn't just be a shot in a ditch with a pipe. I could put that anywhere, So we got that, sent it to him via text. He sends me back a thumbs up. I covered my ditch. Perfect. The very next job we went to, we did, same situation. Yeah, same situation. No inspectors, can't get out there a couple of days. I said, can I do what I've done before? He said, sure. So I did it, sent it to him, thumbs up. Now, you talking about safety. See, this ditch inspection, while it just carried a number 8 bear at the depth and the pipe at the depth, it did not carry electrical quote current other than the 12-volt LED lights that we sent through there. So now I got you. You need to see a panel box, things like that. But something like that bonding and grounding that's there, that should be one of those things. Hey, shoot me a shot of it. Okay, I looked at it, pass it. That way you don't send somebody to a job site. Inspector don't have to come to a job site, and don't have to drive out there.
Oh yeah,
you can get out of the vehicle, look at it.
I love technology.
Oh yeah,
in that respect, even yesterday we had to go look at water damage, which I'm going to talk a little bit about sometime in the show, and that's roof collars. They wear out. But we called the painter and the guy that's going to rip out the wall, and showed him the wall. Said, take it to here, and told him, amazing. Now he doesn't have to meet with the homeowner now.
Right.
We did that via phone. Technology is great. Pictures. This thing here in the pictures we can send now is incredible.
If I got a pump or a filter system, something replaced on something, I can tell my homeowner, say, hey, shoot me a picture of it. Let me see what it is. It saves me a trip out there, because now I can just go to the warehouse, pull it up, get my parts, put them in the truck, go out there and fix it. So I've saved a trip out there. Otherwise, I'd have had to take the time to go out there, look at it, and see what's going on with it and everything.
And one thing I want to tell everybody listening in today's world, especially in Charlotte, traffic gets worse by the day. And I'm not sitting here going to rant about it, because it won't do a darn bit of good. But traffic gets worse by the day. You cannot drive across Charlotte, North Carolina in less than 30 to 45 minutes now. You can't. That's one way. So in other words, a two-way trip's going to cost me 2 hours at least, maybe 3. Who's paying for that? So I'm going to minimize. I'm going to figure out a way personally as a professional how to use technology to our benefit. Not mine, ours, yours and mine. So if we work together using this technology and what we have available to us, we can minimize traffic and our stress load of traveling, because it's a pain, and it's become more of a pain.
It has. Exactly right.
And that cost. So to charge for that, understand that why we charge for that in some cases. Okay, you just can't go out and do this all day for nothing.
That's right. Somebody's got to, have to pay for it. Exactly right.
But now you should get something for it, and I agree with that. But think about the traffic. Okay, using technology works, and another factor I'm gonna throw in here. In today's world, too, like you talked about the pumps, equipment, make and model numbers, the nomenclature plates on these things are vital to us in replacement, service, and even what you have.
That's right.
Because a manufacturer of a pump, for example, and that model number of that pump kind of tells you everything, doesn't it?
It tells me everything. That's exactly right.
Because you can pull it up online,
Mhm.
know exactly what you got, and on motors, for example, and I'm just throwing a few little extra things in here, such as vent fans, like range hoods. Well, if you've got a remote blower and it's got a 5-wire lead, you can't put a new blower motor up there with a 2-wire lead because it's not compatible with the fan you have.
Exactly.
So all these things are necessary, but can be found out via make and model numbers of the equipment.
Exactly.
So that's how important this stuff is. Understand that there's a lot we can short change it, so to speak, knowing more information.
When I do anything with equipment, pool, salt generators, pumps, filters, heaters, cleaners, anything like that, one of the things that we do is, one, you get the packet information that comes with it, and we will cut off the box the barcode with everything on it. It's got the serial number and everything on your equipment too. So you get that, and I tell everybody, I hand them to them when I say, hang on to this. One, we know when it went in, covered with the warranty and all that kind
History
of stuff.
book.
Exactly, man. You got to have it. Back in the day, you just put that box in something, all the stuff in there, and you throw it away. You might have given them the warranty card or something.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I give you all that stuff, man, because I want you to be able to know when you got it. And that barcode and everything tells us,
when, where it was manufactured, everything.
Every bit of it. So that is important. Just like with pool liners, we replace all the time. First thing I ask people, I say, do you have any information on this liner? If they're the ones who had it originally done. And, about probably half of the time they are. A lot of times they aren't. But if you have that information, I can take that, even if you just had a serial number, I can cross-reference it and get a drawing from the manufacturer and say, this is your pool, and then I can order it off of that. Otherwise, either have to do measurements on it, or that's really about the only choices that we got. Measure to give me a serial number, 1 to 2.
And what we're talking about here is really, really important from not only a pool's point of view. Kitchen appliances, same thing. Keep all the installation manuals. When I go install anything in a kitchen or any equipment, I give all that packet of information to the homeowner and say, please put this in a safe place. To that point.
Oh, yeah.
Because here's another factor that happens frequently. A lot of times the make and model numbers are either rubbed off or taken off the piece of equipment. The make and model number. Make means manufacturer. Model number is the model number that's on all equipment. But if you have it going in and it's taken off or scrubbed away, which happens, then you have it anyway. You've got it.
It's important.
It's very important, especially in today's world where nothing's the same.
Lots of stuff get discontinued. Exactly right.
Yeah. Right now, I've got to find a switch for a range hood that's 20 years old. If we're lucky, we'll be able to find it. If we're lucky. But you can't find it without the make and model number.
That's right.
And it was smudged off when I had Roddy back sitting where you're sitting right there. I gave him the part I had. He went in there and did the research, found that model number, and we were able to find the switch.
That's great.
So that's how important it can be. So now let's move ahead with pools. Okay. What do you do more of? Do you do new pools now or liner replacements?
I actually do more liner replacements because there's more of those out there. New pools, we do about half and half, vinyl, in-ground vinyl liners, build new pools, and fiberglass. But fiberglass is your fastest installation by far.
And what's the largest fiberglass you can put in
about a 16 is as wide as they'll make them.
Okay.
And 40, 41 feet is as long as we got them. And that's a big pool. But the thing I always tell everybody, I say, with fiberglass, it is what it is. You can't change anything about it. You can't change where the steps are, the benches, the depths.
You buy what you buy.
That's right. You get what it is. That's it. And some people like that. With vinyl pools, though, we can do anything in vinyl. I mean, I'm talking anything. I can make it. I did a pool a couple years ago to people who love water volleyball. They wanted a volleyball pool, but standard depth on pools is like 3'4" because it's your wall panels. So what we did what's called extended depth. We came out a foot and dropped a foot. So it ended up being 4'4" in the center. And it was for the whole width of the pool and length of the pool. And so it was all flat. Put some brass sockets in the sides in the concrete and run a net across, and that was it. Back in the day, I say, they used to have what they called the sport pool for that. And it was flat on each end, and then it had a slope down to a flat part in the middle. But you couldn't play volleyball on it because you can't stand on a slope, especially in the water.
Right. It's going to bring you down every time.
Exactly. And if you were to be able to do that, you'd have to put your tall people in the front and your short people in the back, so they would all be about the same height in the water. So this was a better plan. Like I say, we got tanning ledges, we got little seated areas, we got benches. I did one on a pool here not long back. Never had steps. They never had steps, just had two ladders, ladder deep end, ladder shallow end. And she was like, gosh, I wish we had steps. And she was looking at some of the ones, and used to be, of course, back in the day, you'd have the steps be like back set out of the pool. See, now with enough room in shallow end, we put a bench across it, and then we put wedding cake steps down on one side of it. Because really with steps, all you're looking to do is get in and out of the pool. So you don't have to have, a set of wide steps. Even though I had one customer, they wanted what we called stadium steps, which went from one end of the shallow end. I went one end on the width side of the pool, one end to the other. I mean, just like a stadium.
One side to the other.
That's right.
And you just walked into the pool
down.
the whole width.
You could get anywhere you want to in there. But now, like I say, we do tanning ledges. I mean, I did one in Huntersville for a lady, drawed out probably 6 or 8 different designs. And she kind of tweaked them like she wanted them. And we put them in, and got that done. And it was really great. I mean, she was tickled to death with it. All her family's like, man, this is because you can change the look of what you have if you want to and renovate it and make it into, most of the time what we're doing a lot of is we take the pools that were built in the 70s, 80s, and the early 90s and bring them into like a 2000 rim, with a cantilever deck around them or stamp borders and things like that.
So what we're talking about right now is taking an existing liner pool and remodeling it, revamping it, putting amenities in it that you may or may not even know you could get. And Mark Barbee here, how long you been doing pools?
40 years.
40 years.
Yeah.
So you've been doing vinyl since vinyl came on the market.
Yeah, vinyl been out for a while, but it has really tweaked and changed a lot over the years. I mean, we even had a process that we did for a while. That's called True Tile. We actually put a real tile border, an actual pool ceramic tile border around the top of the walls. The liner locked in under that border. It's replaceable. The liner's replaceable. Special type of tracking and everything. And then the water line split the tile line just like it would in any pool. Got that pool, and
if you walk up to that pool, you can never look. You would know it's a vinyl liner
pool. You wouldn't
pool.
know it till you got your feet in the ground.
Now you can do that on new pools, right?
We can do that on new pools. Well, I don't want to say that now because they've kind of discontinued that process. Yeah, they took it off. Yeah, and
I know why. It leaked too much.
No, it wasn't that.
It wasn't that.
It was because, it would leak if you didn't install it properly.
Well, see, that's the ticket to a lot of products.
Yeah.
Installation methodology is important. And there's this thing about men, they don't want to do it. Some men out here, I'm sorry, they don't want to read the instructions and follow the methodology. Am I right or wrong?
That's true. No, that's true. Yeah, I was lucky, man. I got trained under one of the guys that worked with the development of that job.
You also got trained on screwing up a time or two and learning if you don't do it right the first time, it's going to cost you a bunch of money.
Not only that, yeah, that and headaches and heartaches and,
And a bad
people,
name.
yeah, that. But the worst thing I think is that, people lose confidence in you when that happens. If it's something that you messed up and they're like, how do I know it's going to be right this time, Mark?
And see,
if that's the
and
case,
back to the manufacturer. If you put a bad product in, which they sell you the product, meaning they come out to these pool manufacturers and they have a big seminar, feed you dinner, serve you drinks, make you all kind of feel warm and fuzzy and wanted and good. Then they train you and teach you about this new gym. And the reason I bring this up, because I've been there, done that many times in my career. And come to find out the product they were selling ain't that good after all. And 10 years later, it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How many times has that happened?
Man, I couldn't tell you. There's one in particular that I recall vividly, just like what you're talking about. And I ain't going to name companies or nothing like that.
Oh, no, we don't want to do that.
I ain't going to do that. But when they brought it out there, the sales guy takes it, he props it up on the table and he says, "You service guys are going to love this." And it was the way it broke down. It's just a system. You pulled one little tab back and smacked this handle and come apart. He goes like this. He opens it up just like that. And we're like, you don't even have to take the bolts apart or anything to take that out. Nope. That's all you got to do right there. And we was like, everybody looks at each other. We're sitting there because, they do it in like a hotel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They get one of the conference rooms and everything. We're like, wow, that's pretty neat, So people started buying them. And big companies around Charlotte that were putting in pools at the time, they started sticking them on everything, because they put them out there, good deals and all that stuff. And it wasn't maybe 2 years later, we started seeing all of the downsides to it. And they didn't get better. Downsides didn't. And finally, like I say, probably about 10, maybe 12 years, they discontinued them, realized that wasn't going to be the cat's meow that they thought it was going to be. And that went away, and then now everything else has come back. But our thing now that's big and popular is your variable speed pumps, and that is a good thing.
That's a great thing.
That's a good thing
for energy efficiency. Actually, every way, just pool maintenance in general.
Well, see, now they don't. They're phasing out single speed pumps. In fact, actually, they have phased out, I guess I should say, most single speed pumps. You can still get them on the internet and stuff. But the motors, replacement motors and stuff, they're kind of getting to the point where it's like, well, they're doing away with them. They're single speed motors. So if somebody's got a single speed motor and it goes out, then you're going to have to go to them and say, "We can't replace the motor, Ted. We're going to have to put a new pump on there." What? Yeah, I have to put a new pump on there. And how much is that going to be? Well, it's going to be a variable speed pump now, so they're more expensive. I don't want that. Well, you would want that. Once you see it, it pays for itself. It really and truly does.
On energy efficiency.
Oh my gosh. It's just
cuts way down on your power bill.
Like we tell people, I make it easy for you. Single speed pumps, all pool pumps, run at 3450 RPM. And so I tell you, that's like driving down 45 with your foot to the floor. And you don't take it off. If you take it off, you're on the brake, you stopped. And that's how normal single speed pumps work. Variable speed pumps, you can adjust your RPMs however you want to. Yeah, you can.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah, you can make
they're variable speed, literally, just like a rheostat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What you can do is, let's just say hypothetically, you say, well, I'm gonna run my pool pump at 3,000 RPMs. So you save 4,500 or 450. I'm sorry. So you save that, and then maybe it's okay for my secondary speed. I'm going to do it at say 2,200 RPMs. Okay. You're still turning your water over. You're still sanitizing it. You're just not running it wide open. Your third level, you could do, say, let it run from midnight to 6 in the morning. You could run it at 1,800, 1,600 RPMs. And I actually put one on for a gentleman out in Piper Glen. And he said, because we had replaced his motor several times.
Sure.
So I said, let's go with this. We did. He come out. He was so happy. Last time I seen him, he said, "Man," he said, "this thing saves me probably $60 a month."
Yep.
On power.
Right.
He said, it's amazing.
We're going to talk about pools, the energy they consume as well, because when When you put a pool in your backyard, you're putting a money pit back there. And that's okay. If you like spending money on your backyard, that's a good way to do it. The money pit called a pool. There's another one that you take to the pool, and that's called a boat. There's your second money pit. But we're talking pools today. We'll get to boats another day. Come on back. You're listening to About Your House on Fox Sports Charlotte.
Out more about the show? Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Sam Attero of AtteroMedia.com. Someone asked me once what I love the most about my 30-year-long career as a media producer and educator, and I have to say the fact that not only do I get to create for a living every day, but then I get to teach and help others to use the content and gear systems that I've built for them themselves. Do you need professional live event video production or streaming services? You're in great hands with our family business. All 5-star Google reviews. That's ETTARO Media.com.
Steve Helms here with the Al Metal Driving Corporation. The Al Metal Driving Corporation is a full-service driving company. Regardless of the problem, we can handle it. Does your clothes dryer take longer than 45 to 50 minutes to dry a load? If so, you need your dryer vent cleaned or checked. The clothes dryer is the most inefficient appliance in the house and should never take longer than 45 to 50 minutes. Call Al Metal Dryer Vent today at 704-846-8368 or online at almetaldryervent.com. That's 704-846-VENT. Have you cleaned your dryer vent lately?
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595. Or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Carolina Foundation Solutions is a family-owned and operated company and a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina, providing foundation solutions from the mountains to the sandy shores of the coast. At Carolina Foundation Solutions, our objective is to help educate, offer guidance, and provide assistance. With over 200 years of combined experience, our family of experts are ready to help protect and repair your largest investments. If you have a problem, we have a solution. Call 877-883-4626 or online, carolinafoundationsolutions.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Got Mark Barbee, Gator Pools, in here talking swimming pools. You know, swimming pools have become a big factor in Charlotte, you know, because summer months are hot, humid, and ain't nothing like a good dip in the pool. We hadn't talked about equipment yet, but I'm going to throw out something here that happened this week, and I'm going to just throw it out because it's something that we don't talk about enough, and that's bad roof collars. If you got a roof, what do you mean if you've got a roof? Sure, you've got a roof in a house or a dwelling. You didn't get wet last night because it rained. All right, at any rate, you got little pipes sticking out the roof of your house. And around each one of those pipes, you have what we call a roof collar, a vent collar, call it what you want. But it's literally a rubber gasket that goes around it and goes up under the shingles in a certain, it's flashing, basically, with a seal around the pipe. Well, over the years, that seal, that little thing is like an inner tube on a bicycle, you could say, and it stretches and it seals around the pipe, be it a PVC pipe, be it cast iron, water pipe, whatever it is. When I say water pipe, I'm talking about steel galvanized vent pipe. That's old stuff. At any rate, that rubber will deteriorate and crack and literally go away. And now what's going to keep the water out of the house? Nothing. And they do go bad. I've replaced as many as 5 or 6 on a single house before because they were all cracked and bad. And this will happen. Now, if you go in your house and you look up and see a water stainer in a bathroom or a bedroom or adjacent to or the same wall between the bathroom and the bedroom, if you see a water stain up there, you got a bad roof collar. It's that simple. And you need to call a roofer, a good roofer. And I'm telling this story for a reason. This was in a rental house. I've worked in this rental house now for 40 years. I've done maintenance and improvements and adjustments and fixing and upkeeping. For 40 years, I've been involved with this duplex. There's one on the left, there's one on the right. Went over to visit yesterday. The story was 5 months ago, the tenant called the landlord or the property management company responsible for this unit. And he sent out a roofer. And the roofer goes out there and puts black mammy or whatever you call it on the, you know what I'm talking about, around the roof collar. Wrong. It should have been replaced. And when he did it, he created a dam where the water backed up and went in worse. Bad job. 5 months ago, it was not tended to correctly. Well, now I went over there yesterday, and that roof collar has caused approximately $2,000 to $3,000 worth of damage, if not more, that they've got to replace plaster walls in this house in one whole corner of the bathroom and the bedroom. It all could have been prevented if they would have replaced the roof collar and did a good job correctly. Now, I'm bringing this up because it goes on. There's a lot of roof collars in this here city called Charlotte that are bad. You don't know it. That's why I encourage you to get a roof inspection at least every 5 years or so, because roof collars go bad. And when they start leaking, there's a lot of it will go sight unseen, and you're getting damage that you can't see. So just throwing this out there, just throwing it out. When I leave here today, I'm gonna go put a water fan, you know, those big fans you put on when you get flooded. I'm gonna set a fan up so we can get it dried out. And the wood, by the way, is rotten. We're gonna have to replace framing members and everything else. All of this could have been prevented. The roof's fine. The vent collars, the roof collars, they're shot. And if you replace one, you might as well go ahead and replace them all. Because if one's bad, they were all installed at the same time. Just throwing that out there. That happened this week. And it's something that people should be very much aware of, is your roof collars. So I'll throw out something every now and then that'll make a lot of sense, and that's one of them. And one more thing, as we enter the summer months here, crawl spaces. I talk about crawl spaces a lot come summertime. Why? Because you've got abundant moisture in a crawl space during the summer months. Because of typically when you have a crawl space, not all houses have ductwork under them. Not all houses have ductwork in the crawl, but if in fact you have ductwork in your crawl space, and you let today 85, 90-degree air with humidity, which I need to look at right now, which is the humidity today is going to be, I feel like, based on what you felt this morning, it's going to be high. What do you think, Mark?
Most likely, I was out with my dog this morning about 5, and yes, sir, it's going to be high.
It's going to be hot. Well, let's see what the humidity is right now. 68%. Yuck. It ain't good. You're pushing 70% humidity today. It's one of those hot, muggy days that nobody likes. At least, but if you got a swimming pool, it feel good. High tomorrow is 87. High Monday 88. Moving into the 90s next Wednesday. Scattered thunder showers are the call for Tuesday and Wednesday. Excuse me, Monday and Tuesday. My apology. We're going to move into the 90s come next Friday. It's going to be Thursday's 89. Wednesday's 91. Thursday's 89. Friday's 89. Saturday 91, 92, 91, 92, 94, 93. Folks, summertime's here. Nighttime temperatures 71, 70, 71, 72. Summer's here.
Yes, sir. Gonna be hot.
It's here. Hot and humid weather is on us. Happy summer, everybody. So we're talking swimming pools today with Mark Barbee. Talking, well, what are you able to do? One thing I want to highlight about this man right here called Mark Barbee with Gator Pools, he knows vinyl liner pools very well. And if you have an old vinyl liner pool that you're sick of and you want to refurbish and give it some life and rejuvenate it with steps, pools,
Tanning ledges, benches, any of that.
anything. He's the man to call. It's called Gator Pools.
Change the decking, whatever.
Anything and everything, really. Equipment.
Pretty much.
We ain't talked about equipment today.
Okay.
What's hot and new with equipment? Anything? You got heat pumps now.
Yeah, we got heat cool pumps now. We can actually heat and cool the water.
Let me back up a minute here.
Okay.
You got heat pumps. Now that heat pump is to control the water temperature only, correct?
That's it.
And that's all it does.
That's all it does.
Now versus the old gas fired heaters, how do they compare in price?
Your heat pumps are going to be more, not substantially more, but they're going to be a little bit more. But then you got to get gas run to your heater, your gas fired heater. If you don't have a gas fired heater, if you have a gas fired heater, then obviously it's change out hookups. Mechanical. That'll be a gas plumber would do that. We can set the heater for them. All your new heaters now are electronic ignitions. They're no longer standing pilot lights. Although I got a standing pilot light replacement kit in my truck right now, I got to do for a homeowner. No, the heat pumps are great. If you have a pool spa combo, heat pump is inefficient for you. You got to have a gas fired heater
for a heat pump. Hot tub.
Hot tub, yes, sir.
Hot tubs require gas fired heaters, and let's talk about that a minute.
Okay.
Because the reason being, now a heat pump would be more efficient and cost effective if it would work to get the water hot enough to meet the standards of a hot tub.
That's correct. Yeah,
which is 102 degrees.
Yeah, 102, 104.
102, 104.
104 about tops out. But yeah,
you can't get water that hot from a heat pump.
No, sir. No. Heat pumps are great at that. And also a heat pump's ineffective if the air temperature is around 55 degrees or so. It's got to be at least about 60, and it's slow at that. But what we like, I say everybody, if you're just going to have a pool and you want to start your season early, finish your season later, a heat pump is a great alternative for you because it's more energy efficient than a gas fire. Because a gas heater is going to come on and bring your water temperature up, and then it's going to shut off,
and
then it's going to come back up. And your heat pump can kind of just keep you kind of like just rolling down the road at a steady pace. And then now with the heat cool pumps, you can bring temperature down. You're talking about hot and humidity and everything. I mean, once pool water gets to be about 80 some degrees, over 80, about 88 or so or better, it's a little.
Well, we're going to talk about it. We got to talk about the equipment side. We've talked about a lot of things today on the show about swimming pools, around swimming pools in your backyard. Now we're going to talk about the equipment because how to keep it up, how to keep the water warm and cold. I learn every time it comes on here because technology changes the equipment. Over the past 10 years, everything in technology's changed with heat pumps and equipment around swimming pools.
That's exactly right.
Variable speed pumps, all of that and more. Come on back. We'll talk about it.
and it infuriates me.
Hour 3, Mark Barbee of Gator Pools continues talking pools, the industry, and his experiences in the field. Lots of great information coming your way. About Your House is brought to you by PutToolsInSchools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. Also brought to you in part by Queen City Home Store, a family-owned store serving the Carolinas for over 70 years. They're the largest independent appliance retailer in the Carolinas, constantly growing and taking pride in the experience they offer customers with a knowledgeable sales staff, product selection, and lowest price guarantee. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
All right. Welcome back to hour number 3. Mark Barbee, Gator Pools, fighting technology. You know, it's amazing when you need something on that stupid smart device we carry, you can't get to it because it won't let you.
Unreal.
And then, and if you want something quick, that's when it's going to act up and won't give it to you. Anyway,
Yep.
we were talking about equipment, moving into the equipment phase because you can't have a swimming pool without a filtration system and or pump and or some heating if you want that, want to pay for it. But let's talk about the equipment going in. If you're looking for a new pool, you want to go ahead and invest in a new swimming pool, your own money pit in your own backyard. Call it yours. Okay. What do you recommend to them? All right. In today's world, you're going to have a pump. So you're going to put a variable speed pump, right?
Most definitely. Yes, sir.
And then you got to have a filter. Filtration.
Okay. All right. There's basically 3 types of filtration systems. You have sand, diatomaceous earth, and cartridge. Typically, sand filter is much more homeowner user friendly, easier to just waste water out of the pool when you need to, flush the system, that sort of thing. DE, while DE or diatomaceous earth filters has a grid system in them, they work very similar to a sand filter. It's just that the DE or the diatomaceous earth is your media that filters your water versus sand. And then you got your cartridge filters. Cartridge filters actually filter down to finer microns, which is great. Cartridges, usually, you have to take them out about once a season and
Only
you
once
just
a
spray
season?
them off. Just
Okay.
spray them off, unless you got a really bad, water chemistry, or you have something like silt or anything washed into the pool. But you can usually just clean them up pretty easily. Cartridges, though, you're going to have to replace those probably anywhere between 2 and 3 years, because they wear out. The little fibers in them actually get clogged, contaminated. You can't really see them. You've cleaned it out, but the water doesn't pass through them as freely as it did, and you want good flow. DE filters, I'm going backwards now, but DE filters, most of the service tech guys, like I say service techs, like people who come in, pool cleaners and things like that, they won't touch DE filters. They'll say, we'll put your sand filter on, or a cartridge, because DE filters they're nasty as far as having to take them apart. The DE's heavy. It clings to the grids. The grids can get older, and they've got like ribs. Just imagine like cheesecloth stretched over, plastic rib looking like material, and the water's filtered through that. While it works great, it's aggravating to work with, taking it apart, cleaning it and everything. It's just not a lot of fun. Sand is usually good 8 to 10 years before you're going to need to replace the sand, as far as your systems go like that. But that's basically your filter systems.
Okay, what do you recommend generally?
I recommend sand or cartridge, whichever one anyone wants.
So cartridges work real well.
Cartridges work great. I like cartridge filters. You're going to pay a little more for a cartridge filter, and you're going to pay a little more when you replace your cartridges in that unit. But
what's your cartridge cost?
Depends on the size of the filters and stuff. But on an average, if you replaced all 4 filters,
all 4, there's 4.
If it was a big enough, on the pools, most of the time we run a 4-quart.
Well, that's why I'm asking. A decent sized pool.
If you did all 4 of them and somebody did a replacement on it for you, probably around $600.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and that's a pretty quick and easy in and out type of job. A lot of homeowners, they'll just buy them online, replace them themselves. All you gotta do is just take it out, put a drain plug on the tank, let the water run out, and I usually tell
easy
people
to do.
Hose it out. Yep. It's easy to do.
Okay.
It's not that difficult. Then you go to you said variable speed pumps already, so definitely want to do a variable speed pump. Sanitizers, there's a lot of different stuff out there on the market. Of course, you always got your chlorine with your chlorinators and stuff. You got your salt generators. There's ionizers. Not many people use those anymore.
Right. What about UV?
Yeah, they got UV out there too. Yeah.
Do you put many of those in?
I have only put maybe a couple of those in my lifetime.
That's a gimmick.
Yeah, it's not really that great.
I think it's a gimmick. Another cash cow.
Yep. You've got your. I know Nature 2 has it's like a nickel. What is it? Like a nickel? What is it? Chemical, like an element that's in there, and that's supposed to be the bacteria killer and everything. Those are good. They work okay. You still got to run chlorine with them, but for the most part, salt generators, I think, are the best way to go. Salt generators, you put the salt in the pool, it passes through the turbo cell conversion chambers, whatever you want to call it, and it charges it, changing the sodium chloride into unstabilized chlorine. And that's not volatile. People hear you say that, but what it does is it just makes its own chlorine for itself. And that's producing chlorine and keeping your chlorine at a regular basis. You can set your percentage of outputs on them, so you can make as much chlorine as you want to bring the chlorine levels up. It's like for larger pools, you would have to you'd run a little higher percentage of output than you would for a smaller pool, because you don't need as much chlorine. And also with the salt generators, your chemistry in your water tends to err on the higher side of pH versus the lower side of pH. Low pH, water's acidic. Acidic water eats up soft metals, and it can also cause your liner to get a little more brittle and everything. So we recommend the salt systems. That, and it's easier to keep up with, because a lot of people, they don't go out there and pay attention to the pools on a weekly basis or so, and then they come up and they go, somebody's wife walks out and says, hey, honey, have you checked the pool lately? The water looks like it's got a little bit of green in it. And you go out there and you test it. You go to your chlorinator, you open it up. You forgot to put tablets in last weekend. So all your tablets are melted, so you're not putting chlorine in the pool. But with the salt generator, it's like the little engine that could. He's making chlorine just going right along, So you don't have to keep tablets on hand or anything like that.
So today's chemistry in the pool, most of them are salt generators now.
Most of the pools that we put in, residential pools, are salt systems. Yes,
Let's explain to people how important pH is.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's people don't think of pH.
Yeah.
pH, you as a human being, your pH needs to be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, you're not going to be balanced. There's going to be issues.
Yep.
Everything we do is based on chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And swimming pools are very sensitive when it comes to now what pH high, pH low. Tell them the difference.
Okay. Low pH, water's acidic, anything under like 7.2, anything much above 7.6, 7.8 is considered high. For years, people will say, Becky come home from, Bob's pool and her eyes are red because the chlorine's so high. Well, it may be, but most likely it's because the pH is so low, because the water's acidic at that rate. If you were going to have a choice, you would want your pH to be air on the higher side than you would the lower side, because low pH is acidic water. And that's part of the chemistry, just like calcium hardness, especially for vinyl pools or plaster pools. See, water's lazy and it will pull what it needs out of whatever vessel it's in. And I'm not advocating fiberglass, but that's another good reason for fiberglass pools, because chemistry, you can let the chemistry go south and you can still not have it do any detrimental damage to your pool, but you let the chemistry go south in vinyl or
now. How does the pH affect the equipment?
Well, that's a good question, because some of the equipment that we have, like let's say the older style lights, what we call like the incandescent lights or the big canister lights, the stainless steel models that we had for the niches back in the day, they had brass brazing around where the female or where the male adapter goes in, or the female part, and low pH eats soft metals. It would eat holes in that, it would take the finish off of the chrome plated ring. It's a brass ring with chrome plating that goes around them. That's the old style. The new styles are all polymer now, so it doesn't matter, but the new styles being polymer are fragile. And we see those break and crack all the time. So then people lose water through the light. The other thing is, on some of the particular type of pumps that are out there, some of those pumps, those impellers, have a brass screw. It's a reverse thread screw in it that helps hold the impeller on. And it'll eat that thing off and it'll just fly off the shaft. People out there that cut the pump on and go, yeah, I can hear my motor running, but no water's flowing through
moving.
it. Yeah. And so then you go out there and it spins at a higher speed because
it ain't got no
there's no resistance. Yeah.
It's just free floating, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a boat's prop out of the water.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's got no resistance to it.
Right. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to know about a pool. And I bring all this up now because if you're going to buy a pool, there's another side to the pool called the maintenance area and the upkeep.
Mm-hmm.
There's your money pit.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always needs to be balanced.
That's right.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
The chemistry is so important. I took care of a pool for over 12 years. My next door neighbor had a pool for years. And I agreed that I would take care of the pool if I could use the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And they were an older couple. They didn't even need the pool, actually. They did it for their daughter when she was home and she was in an auto accident and she needed the therapy. And I did it. I replaced the filter. They had the old junky cartridge filters that were little bitty and they would jump. And so I put a sand filter in.
Yep.
And I took care of that chemistry. And I know how important the chemistry is, the pH, and keeping that water balanced. And now, keeping the water clean. I was down at my son's house and they're getting their pool all ready to go for the summer. And they're talking about buying a new robot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's with that stuff?
Okay. Well, cleaners have come a very long way, especially since I've been in the business.
That's kind of why I wanted to be, because cleaners used to be you.
Yeah. Yep.
A human being.
Yep. In fact,
matter of fact, I was the cleaner of this pool I'm talking about.
Right.
I would go over there every evening with an adult beverage in my hand, maybe 2, and then go clean the pool. Well, I mean, let's get real.
Depending on how dirty the pool was, right?
Yeah, it's depending on how many leaves were in the pool that day. Carry on, robots.
Okay, all right. Okay, they started out, as I say, cleaners started out, really, we had like pressure side cleaners and suction side cleaners. Okay, so pressure side cleaner ran off of water propelled pressure. One of the ones that was out there originally was called a Rayvac, and it had a separate valve that you would turn. You utilize the same pump, and it went through what they call an energy filter, which is just a little canister filter, because you were bypassing your main filtration system, so you got adequate flow to that Rayvac. And it just basically ran around the pool. It was almost like a stingray would look like, and it had like a little flap under the belly of it, I'll call it, and that flap would stay open, and it would just like fly by debris and pick it up. It was a random, hey, it could pass. It could pass the same leaf 100 times before it would grab it, and it may never grab it. That was a pressure side cleaner. Polaris. Suzanne Summers was one of the advertisers for Polaris back in the day, and when she was with Three's Company.
Right. That's a while back.
Yeah, it was a while back. But she was one of the advertisers for Polaris. Polaris worked off of a pressure side cleaner as well, but it had a drive unit that propelled it, almost like a little, let's just say like a, what do they call those things? Like in a mill, where the water runs across the mill. The
water wheel.
There you go. Thank you. And grinds the corn and stuff like that. Well, this just ran off the same thing, but it drove the unit, creating some suction at the base down there, and it had a bag, and so it would bag everything up as it goes. That was a pretty good unit for a while. It also had to have a booster pump.
We're going to talk about today's models when we get back out of the break. Okay.
Okay.
Because I know it's come a long way.
Kidding.
It's amazing.
We'll
talk about it. New technology, swimming pools, Gator pools in the house. We'll be back.
About the show, go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hello, everybody. This is Mike Sims from Crown Town Dispensary here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thanks for being supportive and loving through the years and supporting us through About Your House with Ray Terry. We have expanded over the years, and we now have stores from tip to tip, all the way from Pisgah Forest to Waves, North Carolina. Check us out on crowntowncannabis.com or cltcbd.com for store locations and online purchases. Thank you.
There's big news in the Carolinas. Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances is now Queen City Home Store. For over 70 years, we've been your trusted retailer for appliances, electronics, and more. Now, we're taking it to the next level with a new name, a fresh look, and more ways to serve you, offering the same outstanding service you've always counted on, while bringing you everything you need for your home. Queen City Home Store. Same great service, more possibilities. Visit us at queencityonline.com.
Hi, I'm Sam Otero of AteroMedia.com, and I love empowering my clients and partners to make the most out of today's latest digital media tools. We specialize in building production systems and podcast studios for small to mid-sized churches and local businesses here in Charlotte. Do you need new media production gear? Do you need help learning how to use it? You're in great hands with our family business, Atero Media of Charlotte. That's ETTARO Media.com.
Let's face it, we do not like bugs, and especially spiders and ants. pets. Unwanted pests in the home are not only creepy, they can also spread sickness and cause significant damage to the structural integrity of our homes. Kilo Exterminating has been taking care of pest control problems in the Charlotte area for over 70 years with award-winning customer service. Moisture readings are standard with all crawl space inspection. Call Kilo Exterminating at the first sign of infestation, 704-333-9855, or online at kilo.biz. Again, that's 704-333-9855.
Libretto's Pizzeria was established in 2004 in New York City. It's located in Charlotte on John J. Delaney Drive in the Ballantyne area, serving up authentic New York pizzas and a full Italian menu. Come in casual, hang out, and relax. We offer dine-in, takeout. You can order delivery. We could also cater your special event. Libretto's has got you covered. I am Mike Libretto. We are also the home of Spinello's famous infused take and bake pizzas. Visit us online at librettospizzeria.com and spinellospizza.com or call us at 704-714-1442.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Got Mark Barbee, Gator Pools in, talking swimming pools. After all, it is hot. It's summertime. Actually, we could be a little late. But if you're planning a pool, what we're trying to do is give you some info about what's cooking, talking about cleaning them, how to keep them clean, the robotic technology in pool cleaners.
Oh yeah, they've come a long way. The robotic cleaners, when they first came out, they had an umbilical to them, and you just could set them up, put them in there, and they would climb the walls. They got little filtration systems in them that pick up the debris. They do a fantastic job. They're slow, but it's okay. They do a good job. They travel all over the pool, and now they've advanced far enough to where we got them wireless now. So, and you got a little handheld controller. You can dial
Bluetooth
in what you want. Oh yeah, it's crazy, but they do a good job. I like robotic cleaners in any pool versus pressure side cleaners. And also, I didn't mention, but back in the day, and they still have them. They still have all that. They got suction side cleaners too. Ain't a big fan of suction side cleaners. Suction side cleaners can get clogged up. And they can cause detriment to your pump, because what you typically do is you have a dedicated line. Normal pool systems, you got your main drain and your skimmer, sometimes multiple skimmers. You'd have to have dual main drains now, but they're tied together, so basically it's one single line. And
all pools have two.
It's by code. Yeah, you have to have two code.
Why is that?
Back several years ago, in fact, it's
safety.
Called, yeah, there was a it's called a Virginia Graham Baker Act. Yes, sir. Yeah, she was a senator's granddaughter.
Took me a minute. I dialed
Yeah,
in.
you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had to have that. But the suction side cleaners, if you've got all your pressure pulling from just one side and it gets clogged, it can cause your pump starve for water, which can cause damage to your pump. Sometimes make it where you had to replace it. I had a gentleman in fact, it was just this week, who he didn't use suction side, but he let his water level get really low in his skimmer, and it started sucking air, And like we're talking about with the speed of the motors and stuff at 3450 RPM, that impeller's humming pretty good, and it's not getting enough water flow in it. So it superheats the water that's still in there. It's not drained out completely, of course, from the basin, from the housing. And so it heated it up, and that steam caused his male adapter to overheat. And when it does, it shrinks down. Now they've got heat resistant ones now that we put in. So, but this one didn't have it. So we had to get him another one and replace it.
Gotcha. I want to back up here a little bit. We talk about equipment. A heat pump, 220 or 110?
220 on heat pumps.
So a heat pump, if you put a heat pump on your pool, there's 220, probably 30 amp, I would guess.
Yeah. No, 60. It's a 60 amp. I take
60
it back.
amp.
60 amp. Breakers.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you got 60 amp.
Yeah.
Then you got a motor. The motor.
Pump motor.
Another 220.
Yeah, 240 on your pump.
240 on your pump. You got 240 going to your heat pump. There's 2 circuits. Okay. Then what else we got?
Salt generator.
Salt generator. We got to put power to it?
We do. Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, you can. They're very. Yeah, you can do. When you do 120, you can do 240. A lot of times people just tie the salt generator into with the pump because they just pull low amps.
I got you.
So that's easy for that.
And my point here is, when you plan a pool, you have to look at the electrical side of it and what your service can handle currently, or what upgrades do you need to include, because that's a major expense in a lot of pool scenarios based on the equipment needed. I bring this up because you need to know this going in, because you'll get surprised.
Oh yeah. When somebody gives you a number on a pool, people say all the time, they say, what's a pool cost? There's a lot of variance in there.
It's
what
just
size
like what's a bathroom cost? Well, what do you want to put in your bathroom?
Exactly.
Like a pool can be outrageously expensive based on the equipment and the need you look at or desire.
Or you can keep it, I don't use the word cheap. Somebody asked me, they said, man, I want the cheapest thing. I say, no, Gator Pool don't build cheap pools. We build cost-effective pools. You want something that's cost-effective, I can help you. You want something cheap, go down the road, because I can't help you with something cheap. But to give people an average, I usually tell them anywhere between 60 and 80 to get you in the ballpark of everything. But just like, Ray, we're talking about, well, there's things that you don't take into consideration a lot of times that will be extra expenses. You've got certain criteria you have to meet on fencing requirements and stuff. Access to the property. Are we going to be where we got to run over concrete driveways? If we are, we're not responsible for damage for that. Haul away. We got to haul dirt away. We got to haul stumps away. If we hit rock, if we have to have material hauled in, all those things are not figured into the price of it, immediately. Because I'm not going to guesstimate
and we're trying to bring these things up to the listeners to give you a concept or an idea of what's involved with the pool. It can be involved with the pool. But if you're building a new pool, you need to plan on the possibilities of what you may need in equipment. And we haven't talked about lighting yet. Lighting in today's world has changed over the past 10 years, has totally changed.
Extremely. Yeah. We typically use all LED now. It's all low voltage. Most of the stuff we have available that we use is remote control. They got stuff you can program onto your phone and do it like that.
But there again, more electricals involved.
And you talking about expenses, I just throw this in too. We encounter this sometimes, filling a swimming pool. If a homeowner's on a well, you're probably going to want to buy water to fill that pool with. I just filled one this week, and it was about $1,200. It's a line replacement.
Water cost. You're going to pay for the water filling that pool.
Yeah, it's so funny. Sometimes people ask me, they say, well, don't it come with water? I'm like, no. You can't come with water if I'm not fiberglass. Can you see a fiberglass pool going down the road full of water, sloshing back and forth? And somebody pulls out front, he hits the brakes, all of a sudden a wall of water comes over the front of the truck. I have been asked that. That's the kind of question sometimes that you get. And you just go, really? I mean,
so there's another $1,200-$1,500 tacked on. Somebody's got to pay for the water to fill that pool. You know, and rain. Let's talk about rain.
Yep.
Rain. You don't want rain in your pool, do you?
Well, if you got salt systems,
I mean, you got to have rain because it's a big hole in the ground, granted.
Yep.
But all the surface water around your deck, on the deck of that pool, should not go back into the pool.
That's correct.
It should run away. There has to be drain fields, drain systems, all incorporated in your plans.
If we're going to be putting it up close to a house in any way, I mean, you don't have to be up against the house. I mean, I'm talking 6, 8, 10 feet away from the house, and you're going to concrete that area. You need to be able to either pitch the water. Obviously, we always want to pitch the water away from the pool. That's number one.
And away from the house.
And away from the house. So sometimes you'll have to do like a V Valley in there.
It's like that one house I came to you on, and the pool was up high. And I said, have they considered what they're going to do down low against the house? And he says, well, it's been talked about. I said, there's a lot of water up high, and you're down, and the house's floor system is lower than the pool deck.
Yep. You can do like a box drain now, more or less. We do more in the way of deck drain, and deck drain comes in a variety of sizes. We've got it from 2-inch up to 4-inch, and they call that the water hog. And so you can get the water away from there. You want a minimum. If we're just going to do a regular deck in a yard, you want a minimum of 1/4 inch per foot of fall away from the deck. I mean, away from the pool itself. And everything that you put back there now becomes impervious. And in certain areas, to go back to your planning and your permitting and everything, a lot of areas now, they only allow you so much space on your property for impervious. So you may have to have like a really small deck if you've got a really small yard and you've got a two-car driveway, and the square footage of your roof is factored into that. You've got a back porch that's, done out of pavers or something you've already had there. Yeah, you have to get certain areas around. I know, for one, Davison, Morrisville area up there, Denver, that's a big thing. You're limited to how much concrete you can put back there to make your area impervious. So yeah, there's a lot of that stuff to it as well.
And that might get caught in the permitting section.
It does because
it gets caught there. So if you're thinking about a pool, you better start thinking, because it's a thinking, meticulous kind of process and what you may want to do. And you're not going to build a pool just to get cool, typically. I mean, people do, granted.
Yeah, we see a lot more pools that are staying open year round now because, like you say, the outdoor living areas and, grilling and stuff. I mean, it is, even if it's 30 degrees, people like to go outside and stand and grill.
I think it's great.
I like it. I like the fact you can go out there and stand, just look at your pool, cut your light on and stuff, and just seeing the water and everything ripple, and it's kind of relaxing, and you can be out there. At 30 degrees, I'm probably stretching my temperature there too far down, but I'll grill outside. I'll sit out. My wife will tell you, I'll sit outside and grill, and it can be. I've been out there when it's been snowing. Okay?
Oh yeah,
and just listen to music and just kind of just relax, and because I like being outside. I'm not an indoor creature.
Do you work with many GCs, general contractors, outdoor
companies? I do. I work with several. Yeah,
that literally call you if they want a pool involved. To help you lay it out. I
have several that have called me in to say, hey, I got a homeowner here. In fact, it's funny you say that because I got one that I just wrapped up in China Grove. Very same thing. The guy got a hold of me and he said, my homeowner, he was building a home. I work with him. His name's Jason Key. He's up here in China Grove. Super nice guy, great to work with. And we put a fire, I met with the homeowner when it was nothing but a chunk of dirt. Okay.
Right.
And so we met with them, met with the homeowners and everything. He showed me plans and this is on the tailgate of the truck, So I figured out where they want to put the pool. I say, let's get the foundation in, get your walls up, veneer and everything. And we come up a step from there. But we already had a permit for the pool. We already knew where the pool was going within, rough area. Had a retaining wall that was going to be poured out of concrete and faced off in stone. So we had all, like you say, planning is everything, man. It's the flying by the seat of your britches, just don't get it no more.
Not with today's
no,
technology and a product. For example, we hadn't talked about this liner pools. Used to, you could pull out a book and select from 7, 8 liner profiles or just a pattern.
Yes, sir.
You picked a pattern. What's available in pool liner pools now? You just showed me a picture. That was an exotic shaped pool, and it was a liner.
It was a liner. We can do, you can do anything with them. But to your pattern story there, I mean, it ain't like wallpaper or tile, but it's pretty darn close. You can actually get too many choices. When I first started doing this, guys, you want the blue liner or white liner? You go, huh? Yeah, we've got the white Castilian and we've got the blue sparkle. You had 2 liner choices. So if you wanted the lighter one, you got the white one. If you wanted the darker one, you got the blue one. Now we have borderless patterns. We have Pebble Tech finishes looking liners.
And the product itself, the liner material, the membrane has become much more substantial as well.
Oh yeah. Most of the liners out there now are 27 mil, and you can get it in 27 mil. But if you want to go with 20 mil, you can. But yeah, and
20 mil is a lot thicker.
27 is thicker. It's just
27
it's just the opposite from wire.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to verify that with the question.
Yeah. We think about that, like because it's funny because wire, the lower the number, the thicker the wire.
Right.
So I think about it like that too. But no, it's there's a lot of new patterns and stuff out there, and every year it changes. So it's
so you can make a vinyl liner pool in many, many different patterns and shapes and depths and ways and all that. So you got a lot of flexibility.
Yep, you have.
A lot of people don't know that.
No, and it's a good fit for people who say they bought a house and they're like, man, this pool it's got the old white polymer steps in it, or the fiberglass step, or the steps deteriorate. These older steps, the fiberglass steps, has been out there since the 80s. I mean, they do what we call delaminate, and they get these big blisters on them.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
And that goo will run out of them. That's the resin from the fiberglass. They're not leaking. They don't leak water. But they do. Well, some of them will. Some of them will crack. I've seen them crack across the top. And there's a guy who does repairs on them. And I usually, if I don't think it's that bad, I'll send him to the home, or send the homeowner to him first. But if he comes back and says, no, he's got to replace them, then replacement's the only thing we can do.
Now, one other thing, a lot of vinyl liner pools leak. There's companies out there you recommend that can find leaks.
Yep.
And fix them.
And some of them will fix them. Some of them will, kick them back to us because they don't do the repair on them.
Right.
Because it's kind of different with whatever it is. If it's just like patching a liner, things like that, they'll usually just throw a patch on them if that's the case. And then if they say, look, man, we're going to patch it, but a patch is a patch, where there's no guarantee it's going to hold up for a year or two. And so if you patch it, you may want to think about getting another.
But they will find the leaks.
Yeah, we've actually, it's so funny, Ray, they got them, and I've got one that I use primarily. I'm not like what I call a leak hunter, but if it's people that I've done work for or whatever, and their liner leaks, then I'll usually go out there with it. It's a little.
Well, it's your liner. You're curious about where it's leaking.
With that,
you want to know.
Well, I want to make sure too that it's not a manufacturer's defect. Sometimes we have. It happens.
Sure.
We'll have what we call a seam failure. Had one last year with a guy, and he's losing water just a little bit. And then a lot of guys will tell people, oh, it's just evaporation, and it may be in some cases, but it's usually. If you're losing a substantial amount, it's usually not. But it don't take but a pinhole under water pressure to start forcing water out pretty good. And we have the device though. What it is, it's a styrofoam plate with a brass underbelly on it, and it runs back to a control box that powers it, and it puts a small amount of electricity into the water. You can't feel it. You can put your hand in there. You can swim in it if you wanted to. It's nothing like that. It's all battery powered. And it goes to a headset, and it's wireless. And that then goes to a box that powers that little brass plate. And then we've got a sensor in it that goes on the end of a telepole.
Right.
And that goes to our box that we wear. It's almost like a little radio set, and you can adjust it. I tell people it's kind of like from the old movies and stuff, the Geiger counters with the radiation.
Oh, yeah.
Tick, 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 it ticks. And so you can set it how you want it for high sensitivity or low sensitivity. And usually I get about a medium range, and I get my ticks with like just a tick, 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 tick. I set it about that fast. And as I get closer to a hole or something,
or a leak,
leak, it ticks faster. Tick, 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 tick. It picks up speed. And eventually it's just like a buzz over top of where you're at. So then you turn away from it with your sensor, and it goes back to tick, tick, tick. And you turn back to it, so you kind of verify where you are with it.
Yeah, validating.
So now you got a spot you can look at. If it's not underwater, we can lean over the side. We got a little leak detection dye. It's got a little plastic syringe with a little plastic needle on it. It's flexible. You can put you a little bit of that. It's like a blue dye, and it will just, if it sucks that dye up in that hole, yes, sir, you say, that's a guaranteed leak right there. So you can patch it, and then you can go back and finish the rest of the pool.
And if it's leaking around a niche or something, it'll pick that up as well.
Light niches now, there's another story, because they've got a copper bond water in them and everything, even if it's just a PVC niche. We've got a unit that you put over that thing, and you pump the water out of it, so you can't tell if it's that niche or not. You'd have to get in the pool physically and then put some dye around some stuff, or take the light out of the canister and visually inspect it and see if it's got cracks in it. Sometimes that is the case, and sometimes that does happen. And then other times you could be leaking because you've got a fitting that broke underground. We see 90s crack, we see pipes crack. People go, well, this pool's been here for 25 years. Why'd that happen? Plastic fails, I don't know what to tell you.
But you said it, plastic fails.
Mm-hmm.
Everything fails in time.
At some point.
Iron will rust, steel will rust.
Mm-hmm.
Stainless deteriorates under certain chemical situations. Everything is not permanent.
It's true.
Nature prevails.
Oh, always. Yeah. But the leak detection, to back on your leak, so just to cap that up for you. There are companies that do specialize in leak locations and everything. I tell everybody, make sure that what they're going to do is verified, because I know a lot of times people say, I had one in particular homeowner that we replaced her liner, and she'd been told by the leak company that it was a skimmer. And so we kind of checked it out, and it weren't a skimmer at all, So you kind of have to, know that you're dealing with the quality people and stuff, on it.
Yep, the labor factor is becoming more and more and more of a problem.
Yeah, I think, and what we kind of figured out was that the lady was saying she had a leak. They couldn't find one. They created an imaginary one to make them feel like they were successful in doing what they said. And she was just like, okay, I never threw a rock at them or anything. I just said, well, we kind of see that it's not the skimmer. So,
right.
So they didn't have to do it.
It happens. Just like the person putting the ice maker in said, you need a plumber. No, you didn't. No, you didn't need a plumber. You needed to go under the damn crawl space and found out where the drain was.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yep.
He didn't want to crawl into the house. So they needed a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back to wrap this show up. Mark Barbee, Gator Pools, in the house, talking swimming pools. We talked about a lot of stuff today, not necessarily all about pools.
It is.
But most of it. We'll be back with more.
Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595. Or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Steve Helms here with the Al Metal Driving Corporation. The Al Metal Driving Corporation is a full. Regardless of the problem, we can handle it. Does your clothes dryer take longer than 45 to 50 minutes to dry a load? If so, you need your dryer vent cleaned or checked. The clothes dryer is the most inefficient appliance in the house and should never take longer than 45 to 50 minutes. Call Al Metal Dryer Vent today at 704-846-8368 or online at almetaldryervent.com. That's 704-846-VENT. Have you cleaned your dryer vent lately?
Hi, I'm Sam Attero of AteroMedia.com. Someone asked me once what I loved the most about my 30-year-long career as a media producer and educator, and I have to say the fact that not only do I get to create for a living every day, but then I get to teach and help others to use the content and gear systems that I've built for them themselves. You need professional live event video production or streaming services? You're in great hands with our family business. All 5-star Google reviews. That's ETTARO Media.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back. Had Mark Barbee in house talking pools. I think we cover a lot of information.
Cover a lot of ground.
Cover
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of ground. I want to take this time to talk about a few things around put tools in schools, if I may. And it's Father's Day tomorrow. Let's give the fathers kudos and talk a little bit about the fatherhood issue. You know, it seems like I talk about a lot of problems on this show. I don't mean to be negative, but I bring forth some issues, right?
People need to know.
That we need to talk about. But well, anyway, put tools in schools. We talk a lot about a labor issue. We do.
Exactly.
We beat it to death, and I know we do. But folks, we're talking about your problem, not mine. About 5-10 years, I'll be out of here. I'm on my way out.
Fourth quarter.
Huh?
Fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter. I'm in the fourth quarter of my game. Right. Crunch time. Anyway, and I only care about our kids, because this is about their future and their happiness and their well-being. Okay, we're having a fundraiser coming up in October 9th. Will you sponsor a hole?
I will. I sure will. Yes, sir.
Okay,
got it.
Gator Pool's going to sponsor a hole. We need sponsors for hole. We need billboard sponsors. We need support. What do we need support for? To fund the effort to put tools in schools. You want to know more about what we're doing and how we're doing it, what our goals are? Go to puttoolsinschools.org. Check us out. We're working on it. We're working on many things. We're going to have a summer camp this summer with about 6 to 12 kids, hopefully over at the Toolbox, a learning facility to teach these kids not just about tools, about life skills, about cooking, about maintaining order, leadership, management skills, all those things we're not teaching our kids in school. So that's what we need money for. We got to feed these kids. We got to take care of them. We got to get tools in schools. We've got to get into our public education system and make these kids, not make them, but expose them, raise the awareness to the many opportunities. Take Mark Barbee here, for example. Been working with his hands and his mind since he walked out of high school. Hadn't stopped, hadn't looked back, made a very successful career, makes good money, and also supports how many workers?
Oh, I got 4 guys that work under me.
4 guys, 4 families that work under him, and he's responsible for.
That's right.
Not only is he self-employed, but he's employing and sustaining other families. That's what we need to do, folks.
You're talking about tools in schools. Let me throw this in here. When I went to high school, we had vocational classes. We had a lot of them. I took bricklaying because I thought I might do good in it since I had some background experience.
Sure.
And I actually worked. I remember my teacher was Mr. Bowers, and he would let me. I'd work directly with some of the guys and stuff in there. But you had like home ec. I remember we had drafting. You had graphics.
Don't have any of that anymore. Got some drafting on computers, and that's true. But you can't. What's drafting without the other trades around it?
Yeah. Well, see,
you've got to support. It's all a game.
Yep.
A puzzle.
What I was going to say is that I actually have talked to some people here recently about the fact that they're trying to put more vocational back into schools because like let's say I had one of my friends, he said his son got into what was it was one of the vocational schools and stuff, and he ended up going down to South Piedmont because he got interested in welding.
Oh, you're welding, yeah. And I felt like you were going that way.
He's done really well with that, and he's getting hired on with a company. He's doing specific welding and stuff,
sure.
And they make big bucks, man.
You can make 6 figures in welding in less than 2 years right out of high school.
That's amazing.
And, most welders are very, very into it and passionate about their career choice because it involves creativity, critical thinking. And man, at the end of the day, you've really done something. And it looks cool to boot.
Yeah.
And it looks cool. I'm telling you, there's so many opportunities like that. And how are we going to raise the awareness if we don't expose these kids to these pathways? That's what Put Tools in Schools is all about. Our big problem is getting industry to step up, support the programs, be involved in the programs. For example, next Tuesday afternoon, I got a call a week ago. They're having a career day. Now, I had already planned something for Tuesday, and if they would have given me more notice, part of Put Tools in Schools goals is to have a place on the website for the up-and-coming events that you can go on and check. As an industry partner, you can attend these events, put tools in kids' hands, engage these kids, raise the awareness of the opportunities. We've got to do it. It works. It works. As of today, Put Tools in Schools, Trades Career Days, we've been in 33 high schools. And some of these kids have gotten jobs as a result because they knew nothing about it beforehand. So it works. October 9th, Thursday, Old Sycamore Golf Club down in Mint Hill.
Yep.
We're going to have a golf tournament. We're going to need your support, and we're ramping up. I'm back from my vacation. Time to get with it. Time to raise the awareness for next school year, get involved, do what we need to do with the school boards, and see if we can't engage more students. That's what Put Tools in Schools is really all about. But we've got to raise funds so we can make more things happen. And it'll be effective, and it will help kids. It'll help their future with no college debt. Not that college isn't for everybody.
That's a fact.
It isn't for everybody.
It weren't for me. I can say that.
Well, I didn't want to go to school.
I didn't either.
I want to go play and work with tools.
Yeah.
Want to work with my hands. And we'll keep you abreast. We've got the toolbox coming up. We've got to support that, get industry involved with that as a learning lab. We're not going to have so-called curriculum. We're going to get kids in there and expose them to many, many different opportunities. Here's a big one. Kids aren't aware of how to cook.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
Well, don't you want to know how to cook? I mean, and what nutrition's all about? No, you just, and believe it or not, most kids don't know how to cook. And the sad part is a lot of the parents don't know how either. Yeah. The parents don't either. But we're going to teach cooking, and some aspects of cooking, not into the total depths of baking and all the culinary expertise, but we're going to expose them. And frankly speaking, cooking is another creative thing in life.
It is.
I love to cook.
I do too. People don't even, you wouldn't know, whatever, but I have got, my wife will tell you, we've got a binder at the house this thick, with stuff that, recipes and stuff.
Yeah.
I've even got a spaghetti that I've had people ask me in the family for a recipe, believe it or not. And I had to sit down and think about it and write it up because I just sort of kind of started putting it together, like you say, creativity.
Sure, absolutely.
Started putting it together, adding some stuff to it, Next couple of times I did a little more of this, a little less of that, whatever.
Sure, right.
Figured it out. And man, it's turned out to be really good. In fact, whatever we have left over, we freeze. And we did the spaghetti thing. I think it was for the Christmas dinner for the family.
Sure.
This past year. We sure did. We did it. Well, I did the spaghetti, and one of the daughter-in-laws did she did the lasagna stuff. So we just made, and salads and stuff. We just made it like an Italian thing rather than, because at Thanksgiving, you eat the turkey and the ham and the dressing. You don't need to do that again for Christmas. Let's do something different.
Yeah.
And so we did that.
A lot of people do
great.
prime rib too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Prime rib for Christmas. Ooh, that's so good.
That is
so good. Or make a smoked brisket. Ooh, that's so good.
That is.
I love it. I do. But here, the whole concept is, how do we raise awareness about all the opportunities to kids? PutToolsInSchools.org. Please go on the website, check it out. There's a place there you can volunteer. There's a place there you can donate money. We need support. That's all I can say. And I'm not going to give up the fight. Matter of fact, I've just begun to fight. We also have got a podcast studio to teach these kids about media. So we're on it, but we just need support. So there you go. And if you're old and retired and need purpose, call me. I'll give you some. I promise you, I'll give you some.
You got a job for them, right?
I got you a job. But you just got to be patient and understanding with these kids, because a lot of them don't know what they don't know. If that makes any sense. Mark, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me, Ray. Enjoyed it.
I really appreciate all the info, and you're a plethora event.
I don't know about
a plethora event. Well, you are. Because
can you spell that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, but you can.
but he can.
Yeah.
But you definitely know your craft, and I appreciate you coming in and sharing it with us from time to time.
Enjoy it.
As you do once or twice a year, and with all your knowledge, because you do a little plumbing, you do a little electrical.
That's right.
You do a little heating and air. You do. Mm-hmm. You do all this stuff, and that's the point. Once you get into the trades, you're gonna do a little bit of everything.
That's right. Yeah, grading. I mean, I love running equipment.
But the most important thing you learn to do is critical think.
Mm-hmm.
You problem solve every day.
Yeah, think on your feet.
You got to think on the move and on your feet, and you got to be somewhat reactionary based on your professionalism and what you know.
Yeah.
Right?
No knee jerks.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, all the men in this world. We need to step up, become more fathers, instill greater leadership in our children, and let them be happy.
Exactly.
Give them purpose. Let's teach them to be purpose-filled, because when you serve and serve purpose, you find a happier life, and then money follows. I promise you it works that way. So go make it a great week. Happy Father's Day to all you gentlemen out there. May God be with you, and all of us do a finer job.
Thank you, Ray. Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you. We love you all. Talk to you next week.